In the dust of forgotten deserts and beneath the roots of ancient forests, there lie secrets that defy everything we think we know about our past. Stone structures that whisper of impossible engineering, carvings that seem to speak a language older than time itself, and relics so out of place they challenge the very timeline of human history. For centuries, archaeologists have sifted through the remains of lost civilizations, expecting answers. But what they've found instead are questions. How did societies with no modern tools move stones weighing hundreds of tons? Why do distant cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, share the same symbols and myths? And who, or what, left behind evidence of knowledge far beyond their supposed age? These are not tales of fantasy. They are real enigmas etched in stone and buried in truth. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into the mysteries that refuse to be explained. The ancient puzzles are still waiting for someone, maybe even us, to uncover their secrets. The wind moves softly through the rugged hills of Sardinia, brushing over a landscape marked by silence and stone. Amid this quiet expanse, enormous slabs of granite rise from the earth, ancient, weathered, and imposing. These are the Tombe de Giganti, the tombs of the giants, monuments built thousands of years ago by the island's prehistoric Nuragic people. Their name alone stirs curiosity, hinting at legends that refuse to fade. At first glance, they appear like elongated stone chambers, massive burial sites with a semicircular forecourt and a narrow entrance passage leading into the heart of the tomb. Over 300 of these structures have been discovered across Sardinia, each one constructed with remarkable precision and effort. Some reach over 30 meters in length, the stones towering higher than any ordinary man. Archaeologists date them to around 1800 BCE, placing them within the Bronze Age, a time when the Nuragic civilization flourished across the island, leaving behind fortresses, towers, and ritual sites that still defy easy explanation. To the eye of an archaeologist, the tombs of the giants were communal burial sites. Their elongated shape may symbolize the body of an ancestral figure. The curved forecourt perhaps serves as a space for ritual gatherings or ceremonies honoring the dead. Within the chambers, the remains of dozens, sometimes hundreds of individuals have been found, often accompanied by fragments of pottery, weapons, and amulets. It was here, it seems, that the living came to commune with the spirits of their ancestors, hoping for guidance, protection, or perhaps a form of connection that transcended death. But beneath the academic calm of these interpretations lies something deeper and far less certain. The local legends speak of giants, beings of extraordinary height and strength who once roamed Sardinia long before ordinary humans. The story goes that these towering figures built the tombs as their resting places. Each massive slab is a monument to their power. For generations, shepherds and villagers told tales of skeletal remains measuring far beyond human proportions, bones unearthed accidentally by farmers only to vanish mysteriously or be dismissed as myth. The idea of giants has persisted not only in Sardinia but across the world. From the Cyclopean walls of Greece to the megaliths of Baalbek, ancient stones often give rise to the same question. Who exactly had the strength or the knowledge to move them? Could the legends, as impossible as they sound, have roots in some forgotten truth? Archaeologists, of course, urge caution. The term Tomb of the Giants is thought to be a poetic misinterpretation, a name given by later generations and by the sheer scale of the monuments. Excavations have revealed no evidence of gigantic skeletons, and the human remains discovered so far belong to people of ordinary size. Yet, some researchers have noted anomalies, bones reportedly lost, measurements that were never published, and early accounts from explorers describing remains that no longer seem to exist in any collection. Are these simply errors of history, or something deliberately forgotten? The construction of the tombs themselves poses another puzzle. The Nuragic people had no written language, no surviving records detailing how or why they built these colossal stone chambers. The engineering is undeniably advanced. Perfectly aligned stones weighing several tons, arranged without mortar, their surfaces smooth to fit seamlessly together. How did a Bronze Age culture achieve this level of precision with only primitive tools? Some scholars suggest the tombs may be aligned with celestial events, the rising of the sun during the solstice, or the movement of particular stars across the horizon. If true, this would suggest that the builders possessed not only architectural skill, but also astronomical knowledge far beyond what we typically attribute to early societies. Others speculate that the tombs may have served dual purposes, part burial ground, part temple, a liminal space between the world of the living and the divine. Then there are the more unconventional theories. Some fringe researchers propose that Sardinia may have been home to a now-lost race, an ancient people whose physical stature and capabilities exceeded those of modern humans. They point to scattered reports of unusually large tools, oversized stone seats and skeletal remains that, if authentic, could hint at a different chapter of human evolution altogether. Others reach even further, drawing tenuous connections between the tombs of the giants and global megalithic structures, from Stonehenge to the dolmens of Korea, suggesting a forgotten worldwide civilization linked by shared knowledge and mysterious intent. Mainstream science remains unconvinced. The evidence, as it stands, does not support such claims. Yet, the allure of mystery persists precisely because the full story has never been told. There are still tombs that have never been excavated, stones that have not been studied in detail, and alignments that have yet to be fully mapped. Beneath centuries of erosion and folklore, the island keeps its secrets close. As the sun sets over Sardinia, the stones cast long shadows across the earth, silent witnesses to a past we only partially understand. Were these monuments simply the work of a sophisticated Bronze Age culture honouring their dead? Or do they point towards something older, something that touches the edge of myth? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between legend and archaeology, buried beneath layers of time, waiting for the right eyes to see it. And so the question remains, lingering in the evening air, who were the builders of the tombs of the giants? And what did they know that we have forgotten? As we leave the Mediterranean shores of Sardinia and journey north across restless seas, the landscape changes. Stone gives way to mist and sunburnt plains turn into windswept isles. Here on the edge of the North Atlantic, where the wind carries the scent of salt and time itself seems to pause, lies one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in all of Europe, Scarab. Nestled along the western coast of Orne, Scotland, Scarab sits like a secret carved into the earth, a perfectly preserved Stone Age village frozen in time for nearly 5,000 years. The settlement is older than Stonehenge, older even than the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and yet, when it was first uncovered in the mid-9th century, no one knew it was there at all. The story of its discovery reads almost like a myth. In the winter of 1850, a fierce storm lashed the ocean islands, tearing away layers of grass and sand that had blanketed the coastline for centuries. When the wind subsided, locals found that the storm had peeled back the surface of the earth itself, revealing the outlines of ancient stone dwellings buried beneath the dunes. What emerged from that storm would soon be known as Scotland's Pompeii. Archaeologists later uncovered a network of 8 interconnected houses linked by covered passageways and built with an astonishing degree of sophistication. Each dwelling contained stone furniture, a bed, a hearth, a storage unit, and even shelves resembling primitive dressers. The houses were equipped with built-in drainage systems, and some may have even had early forms of indoor plumbing. For a society living nearly 3,000 years before the Roman Empire, this level of design is nothing short of extraordinary. Who were the people who built Skarbray? The prevailing theory places its origins around 3200 BC, a time when farming communities were spreading across the British Isles. These were Neolithic people, farmers, herders, and craftsmen who lived in close connection with the land and the sea. Yet, there's something unusual about this settlement. Unlike many ancient communities, Skarbray shows little sign of defence or hierarchy. There are no walls, no weapons of war, no grand monuments to rulers or gods. Instead, it suggests a society of surprising equality, where daily life was organised, domestic, and deeply communal. And yet, the more we learn about Skarbray, the more questions emerge. Why was it built in this remote and windswept corner of the world on land so exposed to the elements? What compelled its inhabitants to live here in stone dwellings sunk into the ground, rather than in simpler wooden structures like their contemporaries elsewhere in Europe? Some archaeologists propose that the subterranean design was a response to the harsh ocean climate, a way to stay warm and sheltered through long winters, but others suspect a deeper meaning. Could the layout of the village hold symbolic significance? The central hearth, always at the heart of each dwelling, may have represented more than warmth. It could have been the spiritual centre of family and ritual life. The passageways that connect the houses almost resemble a labyrinth, as if the entire village was built to reflect a specific cosmological design. Some researchers have drawn parallels between the structure of Scarab Brae and nearby Neolithic monuments like the Ring of Broadgar or the Micho Tomb, suggesting that this settlement may have been part of a greater sacred landscape, a network of ritual and habitation woven together in stone. Still, there are stranger questions that linger. When Scarab Brae was first excavated, artefacts were found that seemed oddly advanced for their time. Finely crafted beads, tools made from polished bone, and small decorative objects with intricate geometric patterns. Some of these designs mirror carvings found thousands of miles away in ancient sites across Europe and even the Near East. Are these coincidences of culture, or evidence of ancient connections now lost to history? And then there's the most haunting mystery of all. Why did Scarab Brae's people vanish? Around 2500 BCE, the settlement was abandoned. The homes were sealed by windblown sand, and life at Scarab Brae simply stopped. The most common explanation is environmental. Perhaps a sudden change in climate, fiercer storms, colder temperatures, or rising seas drove its inhabitants to seek safety elsewhere. Indeed, the site today lies dangerously close to the coast, where erosion continually threatens to reclaim it. But some researchers have pointed out that the final layer of sand that buried the village seems too clean, too undisturbed to be the result of a single catastrophic storm. It's as if the people of Scarab Brae left on their own terms, methodically, even ritually, sealing their homes behind them as if they knew they would never return. Others suggest that Scarab Brae may have been abandoned for reasons not purely environmental. Could disease have swept through the population? Could social or spiritual upheaval have driven them to migrate? Or could there have been something they feared, something powerful enough to make them leave their carefully built world behind? Over the years, more speculative theories have emerged. Some fringe researchers have suggested that Skara was not a village at all, but a ceremonial site, a place of initiation, or ancient knowledge. They point to the precision of its construction, the uniformity of its design, and the absence of clear evidence of daily agricultural life as signs of a deeper purpose. Others propose that the inhabitants may have possessed advanced understanding of astronomy, of architecture, perhaps even of energy systems that modern archaeology has yet to recognise. These ideas remain controversial, often dismissed by mainstream scholars. Yet even the most cautious archaeologist cannot ignore the profound sense of mystery Scarab Brae evokes. Standing among its stone walls today, gazing down the narrow passages that once echoed with human voices, one feels a strange familiarity, as if this ancient place still remembers. The Atlantic wind sweeps over the ruins, carrying whispers from a past just out of reach. The same sea that uncovered Scarab Brae now threatens to take it again, slowly eroding the cliff on which it stands. Someday, perhaps soon, the village may once more disappear beneath the sands and tides, taking its secrets with it. Who are the people of Scarab Brae? Farmers, astronomers, priests of some forgotten faith? Were they isolated pioneers clinging to life on the edge of the world, or the remnants of a culture far older, far wiser than we imagine? For now, all we can do is wonder. The stones endure, and the questions remain, etched in silence, waiting for time or a chance to reveal their answers. From the windswept shores of northern Scotland, our journey now turns east across continents through centuries until the barren plains of the Indus River Valley stretch before us. Here, beneath the relentless heat of the Sindh Desert in modern-day Pakistan, lies one of humanity's oldest and most perplexing mysteries, the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro. At first glance, it looks like a maze of eroded bricks and empty streets, but as the sun casts its first light over the site, the city's quiet geometry begins to emerge. A network of perfectly aligned roads, uniform brick houses, and intricate drainage systems, all laid out with astonishing precision. This is not a primitive settlement. This is a masterpiece of urban planning built nearly 4,500 years ago, at a time when much of the world was still taking its first steps towards civilization. Discovered in the 1920s, Mohenjo-Daro quickly rewrote everything archaeologists thought they knew about the ancient world. Its scale rivaled that of early Mesopotamian cities. its technology surpassed even some later civilizations. The people who lived here, part of what we now call the Indus Valley Civilization, constructed a city of remarkable order and efficiency. Straight roads intersected at perfect right angles. Homes had private baths and toilets connected to a centralized sewage system, a level of sanitation that would not appear again for thousands of years. And yet there are no palaces, no temples, no grand monuments to kings or gods, no written records explaining who ruled here or what they believed in. The city seems to have thrived without the visible symbols of hierarchy or power that dominate so many other ancient societies. Who were these people who built a city of such quiet brilliance? And what became of them? Archaeologists have uncovered tens of thousands of artifacts, pottery, figurines, jewellery, and mysterious seals carved with symbols from a script that remains undeciphered to this day. These tiny seals, often bearing images of animals or human-like figures in meditative poses, suggest a culture deeply spiritual yet strangely reserved. Some scholars see echoes of later Hindu symbolism in their motifs, the early seeds of Shiva or prototype yogic traditions. Others argue that these interpretations project too much modern meaning onto an ancient and independent civilization. Still, the mystery of the script looms large. Over 4,000 inscriptions have been found, but none longer than a few words. Without a bilingual text like the Rosetta Stone was for Egyptian hieroglyphs, the language of the Hindus remains silent. Could these symbols represent an early written language, or are they something else? Marks of trade, ownership, or ritual? Every few years new theories surface, but none have gained universal acceptance. The people of Mohenjo-Daro remain quite literally unreadable. And then there is the question of their sudden disappearance. Around 1900 BCE, the city began to decline. Streets filled with debris, wells ran dry, and the once thriving urban network of the Indus Valley faded into memory. Mainstream scholars attribute this to environmental change, shifting river patterns, floods, or prolonged droughts that made the land uninhabitable. Others suggest political or economic collapse, perhaps even an invasion by migrating peoples. But some clues tell a more haunting story. When excavators first began uncovering Mohenjo-Daro, they found dozens of human skeletons scattered throughout the streets. Men, women, and children lying as if they had fallen suddenly without time to flee or defend themselves. Unlike the orderly burials found in other sites, these remains seemed frozen in a moment of catastrophe. There were no signs of weapons, no evidence of war or massacre. What could have caused such instantaneous destruction? For decades, this enigma has fueled speculation far beyond academic circles. In the 20th century, some researchers proposed an extraordinary idea that Mohenjo-Daro had been struck by a sudden intense burst of heat, an event so powerful it caused parts of the city's bricks to fuse together as if they had been subjected to temperatures far exceeding any ancient fire. Theories emerged of a cataclysmic explosion, even comparisons to nuclear-level devastation. Of course, no solid evidence supports this notion. Most scientists attribute the vitrified bricks to natural causes, perhaps a house fire, or the prolonged effects of the region's scorching sun. Yet the imagery persists in part because the site feels so eerily advanced, so out of step with its time. How did a civilization capable of such precise engineering vanish without leaving behind a single clear explanation? The site's orientation has also drawn attention. Some researchers believe that the streets and structures are aligned with astronomical precision, their layout corresponding to the stars or the course of the sun. Others see echoes of sacred geometry in its proportions, suggesting that the builders may have embedded spiritual meaning within the very fabric of their city. Then there are the legends. Ancient Sanskrit texts written long after Mohenjo-Daro's fall speak of devastating celestial weapons of great cities reduced to dust in a single flash of fire. Some have drawn connections between these myths and the archaeological record, speculating that the stories of divine warfare may echo a distant forgotten cataclysm. But such ideas remain on the fringe, suspended between imagination and evidence. In the end, Mohenjo-Daro defies easy answers. It is at once a triumph of human ingenuity and a testament to the fragility of civilization. Here, in the stillness of its ruined streets, the echoes of a lost world linger. A world that mastered architecture, sanitation, and social organization, yet left behind no voice to tell us why it faded. The Indian winds whisper across the ancient bricks, carrying grains of sand that once formed walls, homes, lives. What knowledge was buried here? What stories lie encoded in those tiny seals still waiting to be read? Was Mohenjo-Daro simply the victim of natural forces, a civilization erased by time and climate? Or was there something more? A lost understanding, a forgotten event, or a chapter of human history that we have yet to uncover? For now, the city sleeps beneath the desert sun, silent and enduring. Its streets remain, its mysteries intact. A reminder that even at the dawn of civilization, humanity was capable of greatness and of secrets we still struggle to understand. From the ancient streets of Mohenjo-Daro, where the stones whisper of vanished civilizations, we now travel thousands of miles to the sun-baked deserts of Egypt. Here, in the shadow of the Valley of the Kings, lies a mystery that has confounded archaeologists and Egyptologists alike. Tomb K563, a chamber whose discovery promised answers, but instead deepened the enigma surrounding the world's most famous necropolis. The Valley of the Kings is a landscape of silence and shadow. For centuries, pharaohs and nobles were interred here, their tombs carved into the rugged cliffs of the Theban hills. Yet in 2005, a team led by Dr. Otto Schoden uncovered a tomb unlike any other, a small unassuming shaft barely noticeable against the rocky hillside. At first glance, it seemed almost insignificant. A footnote in a valley that has yielded the remains of Tutankhamun, Ramses II, and countless other rulers. But Cave 63 was different. Descending into the tomb's narrow passage, archaeologists discovered a series of chambers that held 8 large sealed storage jars meticulously arranged in 2 rows. Unlike the ornate treasures of Tutankhamun, there were no gold masks, no jewellery, no furniture, only jars, each containing a carefully wrapped bundle of linens, mysterious organic materials, and fragments that would later be identified as embalming substances. The sheer care with which these objects had been stored, suggesting a purpose, both sacred and deliberate. At first, researchers assumed that KV63 must be a burial tomb, perhaps for a minor royal or a forgotten noble. But something about the site defied conventional understanding. Unlike other tombs, there were no mummies, no skeletal remains, no inscriptions to identify its occupants. The jars themselves, some standing nearly a metre tall, seemed to have been placed with ritual precision, yet their contents offered few clues. What purpose did KV63 serve? Some Egyptologists argue that it was a cache for embalming materials, a storage chamber for the tools of mummification. Perhaps it belonged to Tutankhamun, whose tomb lies nearby, or to another pharaoh whose final resting place is yet to be discovered. The elaborate wrappings and careful arrangement of the jars suggest that this was no ordinary storeroom. It may have been a ceremonial preparation chamber, a space where the sacred work of death and rebirth was performed before the body was placed in its eternal resting place. Yet, as is often the case in Egypt, the evidence raises as many questions as it answers. Who placed these jars here? Why was the chamber sealed only to remain hidden for millennia? And perhaps most intriguingly, why are there no human remains, even traces of bone, inside a tomb that resembles so closely the burial caches of the kings? Some researchers have speculated that KV63 might have been an experimental tomb, a practice site for the rituals of embalming, or a place used for sacred rites associated with death. Others proposed that it was a temporary holding chamber, a liminal space in the process of preparing a royal mummy that was ultimately interred elsewhere. And then there are the more extraordinary suggestions, hinting at mysteries beyond our understanding, that the chamber may have been deliberately emptied, its occupants removed for reasons lost to time, or that it was part of a hidden network of tombs connected to secrets still buried beneath the sands of the valley. The materials found inside KV63 provide tantalizing hints, but no definitive answers. The linens were soaked in resins, oils and salts, substances used in the embalming process. Carbon dating suggests that the chamber was used during the 18th dynasty, the same era as Tutankhamun. But some of the contents, strange mixtures of oils and herbs carefully bundled and preserved, do not match any known embalming practices. Could these have been experimental recipes lost to history, or ritual mixtures intended for purposes we no longer comprehend? The layout of the tomb itself adds to its mystery. Unlike the steep, elaborate corridors of other royal tombs, KV63 is deceptively simple, a single corridor leading to the main chamber. Yet within that simplicity lies meticulous organisation. The jars were aligned with precise spacing, their contents wrapped and labelled in a way that suggests both reverence and purpose. Even the tomb's orientation may hold clues, perhaps linked to celestial or ritual significance, although the precise reasoning remains unknown. For a civilization that left behind an extraordinary record of art, language and ritual, KV63 is a rare silence, a deliberate absence that stands out amid the richness of Egyptian archaeology. No hieroglyphs explain its purpose, no inscriptions tell us whose hands placed the jars within the chamber. It is a void, a space designed for a purpose now obscured by time. This absence has inspired speculation beyond mainstream archaeology. Some theorists suggest that K563 may hold hidden knowledge about the 18th dynasty, secrets deliberately concealed to protect sacred rites, or even forbidden knowledge about death and the afterlife. Others have proposed that the tomb is connected to Tutankhamun's death, a silent witness to the young pharaoh's mysterious end. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the tension between what we know and what we do not. A hallmark of all great archaeological enigmas. Ki-63 also serves as a reminder of the impermanence of human memory. Even in a civilization that meticulously documented the journey from life to death, some practices, some spaces have slipped through the cracks. A tomb can be sealed. The world can forget it, and millennia later it can resurface, raising questions that cannot be answered with certainty. Standing at the entrance today, one can feel a sense of both intimacy and emptiness. The Valley of the Kings stretches across the desert, a testament to ambition, power and devotion. Yet KV63 whispers differently. It speaks of absence, of preparation without culmination, of rituals performed in silence. It reminds us that even in a world of pharaohs and monumental tombs, some stories remain unwritten, some lives leave no trace, and some mysteries endure because they were never meant to be fully understood. What was KV63 truly for? Was it a storage chamber, a ceremonial site, or a tomb emptied by forces lost to history? Was it connected to Tutankhamun, or to someone else whose name has vanished from memory? The jars remain, silent sentinels of a ritual long forgotten, their contents preserved yet enigmatic. As the Egyptian sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows over the desert cliffs, the tomb seems to hold its breath. Inside, the mystery endures, inviting us to wonder, not about kings or treasures, but about the choices, beliefs and secrets of a people who lived, laboured and vanished, leaving behind only a chamber filled with questions. And so KFI-63 stands as a quiet testament to the unknown, a reminder that even in the land of the dead there are stories still waiting to be discovered. From the tombs of Egypt, where silence guards unanswered questions, we now cross oceans and continents, travelling to the rugged canyons and mesas of the American Southwest. Here in the arid landscapes of what is now Colorado, Utah, Arizona and New Mexico, lie the remnants of a civilization that vanished nearly overnight, leaving behind stone cities, cliff dwellings, and unanswered questions that have puzzled archaeologists for centuries. This is the story of the Anasazi, or ancient purblins, whose disappearance remains one of North America's most enduring mysteries. The first glimpse of their world is breathtaking. Imagine towering sandstone cliffs, red and ochre in the late afternoon sun, with villages perched precariously on ledges accessible only by narrow paths and ladders. Step inside one of these cliff dwellings, Mesa Verde, Choco Canyon or Bandelier, and you enter a realm of ingenuity and careful planning. Multi-story homes are carved into rock faces or built with precisely shaped stones connected by plazas and communal spaces. KAS, circular subterranean rooms used for ritual and governance, dot the landscape, suggesting a society deeply spiritual as well as highly organised. At its peak, the Anasazi civilization was remarkably advanced. They built complex irrigation systems to cultivate maize, beans and squash in harsh desert conditions. Their trade networks extended across hundreds of miles, linking them to distant regions through the exchange of pottery, turquoise and obsidian. The level of planning and sophistication in their architecture and agriculture is astonishing, especially considering the challenges of the terrain and climate. And yet, despite this ingenuity, the Anasazi abruptly abandoned their settlements around the late 13th century CE. Entire cities, once bustling with life, were deserted. Roads fell silent, homes were left intact, and pottery and personal belongings were often left behind as if their owners intended to return. For decades, archaeologists have asked the same haunting question: why did they leave? The most widely accepted theories focus on environmental factors. Tree ring analysis reveals periods of severe drought during the 1200s, suggesting that a long-term scarcity of water may have made traditional farming unsustainable. Soil depletion coupled with unpredictable rainfall could have undermined the agricultural foundations of Anastasi life. These challenges, some researchers argue, may have forced communities to migrate in search of more fertile land. Yet, the evidence is not entirely conclusive. If drought was the only explanation, why were some settlements abandoned, while others nearby continued to thrive? Why did the Anatsi choose such sudden and dramatic departures, leaving entire cliff dwellings intact with food stores and personal artifacts untouched? The pattern is not consistent with a slow, gradual decline. It appears deliberate, even urgent, yet without evidence of catastrophe. Other theories look to social and political pressures. Some scholars suggest that internal strife, conflict over resources, social hierarchies, or religious disagreements may have destabilized these communities. Chaco Canyon, for instance, shows signs of central authority and ceremonial power, possibly imposing demands on outlying settlements. Could social tension have reached a tipping point, driving people to abandon their homes to avoid confrontation? Still, mysteries linger that no theory fully addresses. The Anasazi were master builders, but many cliff dwellings appear intentionally hidden, tucked into recesses of canyon walls, inaccessible to casual visitors. Some researchers have proposed that these locations may have been chosen for spiritual or defensive reasons. But why leave such meticulously planned spaces behind without taking the most essential items? Could ritual or prophecy have played a role in their departure, guiding their movements in ways we cannot reconstruct? The material culture left behind raises further questions. Pottery shards, tools, and ornaments offer glimpses into daily life. Yet some artifacts are inexplicably out of place. Objects that seem to suggest far-reaching trade or influence, or perhaps symbolic meanings lost to us. Petroglyphs and pictographs scatter the cliffs. Their abstract shapes and figures hint at beliefs, events, or stories we may never understand. Were they recording history, communicating with the spiritual world, or leaving instructions for those who would come after? Fringe theories also abound, though they remain speculative. Some suggest that contact with unknown peoples or even extraterrestrial visitors could explain the sudden dispersal. Others propose mystical interpretations that the Anansi foresaw environmental collapse or followed spiritual guidance to abandon their settlements. While mainstream archaeology focuses on tangible evidence, the very silence of the Anasazi, what they left behind and what they took with them, invites these kinds of questions. The landscape itself bears witness to the enigma. From high measles, one can look across a labyrinth of canyons and ridges, imagining the lives that unfolded there, imagining the paths people took when they left. Some descendants of the Anasazi, modern Pueblo peoples, carry oral histories that speak of migration and spiritual journeys, stories that hint at reasons more profound than survival alone. These narratives suggest that the disappearance was not just a matter of drought or conflict, but part of a larger movement guided by culture, belief, or necessity. As the sun sets over the desert cliffs, casting shadows, across empty terraces and abandoned cars, the scale of what remains is staggering. Entire communities vanished, leaving behind structures that continue to awe, puzzle, and inspire. The Anatsi disappearance is not just a historical event, it is a silent challenge to our understanding of human resilience, planning, and adaptation. What caused these people, skilled architects and farmers, to vanish from a land they had mastered? Did they leave voluntarily, guided by unseen forces or communal decisions, or were they compelled by circumstances we have only partially glimpsed through the lens of archaeology? For now, the canyons hold their secrets. The walls of Mesa Verde, the stone roads of Choco Canyon, the kayas carved into cliffs. They endure as reminders of a civilization that thrived, adapted, and disappeared, leaving only questions for us to trace. Anastasia remains a profound mystery. A people who built, who lived, and who vanished, yet whose echoes still shape the land, inviting us to wonder what else may remain hidden, just out of reach in the silent desert air. from the windswept canyons of the American Southwest, where the Anastasia vanished into history, leaving stone cities and unanswered questions, our journey now returns to the deserts of Egypt. Here, along the banks of the Nile near the ancient city of Abydos, lies a site that has intrigued and perplexed archaeologists for over a century. The Osirun, a subterranean temple that seems at once ancient and otherworldly, its origins and purpose are still shrouded in mystery. At first glance, the ocean appears almost incongruous. Hidden behind the monumental ruins of Seti, the first mortuary temple, it emerges as a vast stone hall sunk deep into the ground. Its architecture is unlike any other known Egyptian structure. Massive limestone blocks line its walls, and a series of monolithic pillars rise from a sunken floor, reflected eerily in a basin of water that collects at the base. The effect is one of solemn grandeur, a chamber simultaneously monumental and intimate, its proportions both precise and enigmatic. When archaeologists first excavated the site in the early 20th century, they were struck by its unusual construction. Unlike typical New Kingdom temples, which rise prominently above the desert, the Uron lies below ground level, accessible only by a narrow staircase. The floor is submerged in water that has seeped in from underground aquifers, creating a permanent reflective pool. This has led some researchers to describe the space as a temple of the underworld, designed to evoke the subterranean realm of Osiris, the god of the dead, fertility, and resurrection. Yet, the Osirun resists easy classification. Its construction appears older than the surrounding Seti temple, prompting questions about who built it and when. Some Egyptologists date the Osirun to the New Kingdom, contemporaneous with Seti I as part of his mortuary complex. Others suggest it may be far older, perhaps predating, the 13th century BCE by centuries or even millennia. The massive blocks, the waterlogged chambers, and the unusual architectural style hint at knowledge and techniques that do not fully align with known New Kingdom construction methods. The Osirian's layout is simple yet striking. A long rectangular hall supported by 20 rows of massive stone pillars leading to a central chamber that seems almost like a sanctum beneath the earth. Water permeates the temple, an element that may not be incidental. In Egyptian mythology, water symbolizes the primordial chaos from which creation emerged. Could the Osirun have been designed to echo the mythological underworld, a symbolic space meant to connect the living with the divine mysteries of life and death? Or is its submerged floor simply the result of millennia of geological change, leaving a perfectly preserved but unintentional reflection of ancient design? Some of the site's most enigmatic aspects lie in its inscriptions and reliefs, or in some cases the conspicuous lack thereof. While many Egyptian temples are lavishly adorned with carvings depicting gods, pharaohs and ceremonial scenes, the Osirun is largely austere. The walls are bare, the focus seemingly on the architectural geometry itself. What purpose did this design serve? Was it meant as a ritual space for initiates, a hidden sanctuary for the high priests, or a symbolic tomb connecting the living with the eternal realm of Osiris? Fringe theories abound, fueled by the Awarian's unusual features and its apparent age. Some researchers have suggested it is a relic of a lost pre-dynastic civilization, a monument older than anything we can yet definitively date in Egypt. Others speculate that the chamber's precise alignment, immense stone blocks, and water-filled basins may encode astronomical or spiritual knowledge lost to history. Could it have been designed to mark solstices, lunar cycles, or celestial events tied to the cycles of the Nile and the heavens? Or does its submerged design hint at rituals that literally required immersion? Rituals of purification, initiation, or symbolic death and rebirth? Mainstream archaeology, while cautious, cannot ignore the Osirun's strangeness. Its builders clearly possessed extraordinary skill in stonework, and its subterranean design demonstrates an understanding of both structural integrity and environmental factors. The presence of water, often seen as a hazard for construction, was incorporated into the design in a way that suggests forethought rather than accident. How did the builders achieve this level of precision and stability thousands of years ago, using tools far more primitive than what modern engineers rely upon today? Even the discovery process adds to the mystique. Early excavators noted that the Uran had been buried and partially submerged for centuries, hidden from view and largely forgotten by history. The surrounding sands and debris had concealed its existence, leaving its secrets intact, until modern archaeologists began systematically exploring Seti I's mortuary temple. What other chambers, what other temples might remain hidden beneath the sands of Abydos, waiting for the right eyes to uncover them? The Osirian in its silence seems almost to invite questions rather than provide answers. Its scale, its water-filled halls, its stripped-back austerity, all suggest a purpose that extends beyond the mundane. Was it a temple of resurrection, a ceremonial space echoing the primordial waters of creation? Or could it be a remnant of a civilization or tradition older than the pharaohs themselves, a puzzle whose pieces we have yet to find? Standing today in its cool, damp halls, one cannot help but feel a sense of timelessness. The water reflects the towering pillars, doubling their presence, and the air is thick with the weight of centuries. In this quiet space, removed from the bustling life of modern Egypt, the Osirian seems to whisper of ancient rituals, forgotten knowledge, and human ambition reaching into the unknown. What was the Osirian truly for? Who envisioned a hall sunken beneath the earth, filled with pillars and water, stripped of ornament, yet rich in intention? Was it a temple, a tomb, or something else entirely? A sacred chamber whose meaning has slipped beyond the grasp of history? For now, the ocean endures, a subterranean enigma at Abydos, inviting us to wonder not only about the people who built it, but about the ideas, beliefs, and secrets they carried into the depths of the earth. Its mysteries remain, silent yet resonant, waiting for the next explorer, the next historian, to listen closely enough to hear the whispers of a past that refuses to be fully understood. From the subterranean halls of the Parion, where ancient stone and water speak of secrets long buried, our journey now turns to a mystery of a very different kind. One written not in stone, but on fragile yellowed parchment. Hidden within the archives of history lies an artifact that has baffled linguists, cryptographers, and scholars for centuries. The Voynich manuscript, a book whose pages seem to pulse with enigma, its meaning elusive and its origin uncertain. The first encounter with the Voynich manuscript is disorienting. Bound in worn leather, its 240 or so pages are filled with flowing script unlike any known alphabet. The characters curve and twist, forming words that defy translation. Interspersed throughout are delicate illustrations of plants, astrological symbols, mysterious diagrams, and figures engaged in what appear to be rituals or bathing in strange green pools. Some pages suggest botanical knowledge, others cosmology, and still others hint at recipes or medicines. But the content resists categorization, leaving the viewer suspended between wonder and bewilderment. Carbon dating places the manuscript's creation in the early 15th century, somewhere between 1404 and 1438. Yet the question of its authorship remains unresolved. Was it the work of a learned scholar, an eccentric polymath, or a secretive sect guarding hidden knowledge? Over the centuries, the manuscript has passed through the hands of emperors, collectors, and libraries. Each custodian is perplexed by its contents. The text itself is perhaps the greatest mystery. Despite centuries of study, no one has definitively decoded it. Cryptographers, including those from intelligence agencies during both World Wars, have attempted to crack its code. Statistical analysis reveals patterns similar to natural languages. Letter frequencies, word repetitions, and sentence structures suggest meaning rather than randomness. Yet, after decades of intense scrutiny, the manuscript remains unreadable. Could it be a sophisticated cipher deliberately obscured by its creator? Or is it a constructed language, a private invention, whose grammar and vocabulary were meant to be inscrutable to outsiders? The illustrations add further intrigue. The plants depicted in the manuscript are mostly unidentifiable. Some resemble known species, but are altered in ways that seem deliberate or symbolic. The astronomical and astrological diagrams suggest a system of knowledge, but one that does not correspond neatly to known medieval science. Other pages depict pools of naked figures, often connected by intricate tubes or channels, images that some interpret as allegorical, others as medical or alchemical. What was the purpose of these visual enigmas? Were they meant to instruct, to conceal, or to evoke understanding in a symbolic language lost to time? Many theories have been proposed to explain the manuscript. Some researchers argue it is a pharmacopoeia, a guide to plants, medicines, and the cosmos. Others suggest it may be a coded diary, a record of mystical or esoteric practices. More speculative ideas propose that it was created as a deliberate hoax, a puzzle designed to confound and intrigue. Yet even the hoax theory struggles to account for the manuscript's complexity, the statistical consistency of the script, the careful design of its pages, the logical arrangement of illustrations, suggesting a creator of extraordinary intention and skill. Technological analyses have added layers to the mystery. Ultraviolet and infrared scans reveal corrections, erasers, and layering within the manuscript's pages, indicating that the authors refined the text over time. Some pages appear to have been reworked, hinting at experimentation or evolving understanding. The vellum, inks, and pigments have been meticulously studied, confirming its 15th century origins while raising further questions about where and under what conditions it was produced. The manuscript's journey from European libraries to the Bay Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale tells only part of its story, leaving its original purpose and audience shrouded in obscurity. The human fascination with the Voynich manuscript persists because it occupies a space between the known and the unknowable. It challenges our assumptions about communication, knowledge, and meaning. Its unreadable text evokes the sense of a lost civilization of thought, a mind, or perhaps many minds reaching across centuries with ideas we are not yet equipped to understand. Could it contain knowledge of medicine or science that predates modern discovery? Or does it hold insights into the symbolic and mystical traditions of its time, encoded in a language that resists all attempts at comprehension? Fringe theories, while speculative, underscore the manuscript's allure. Some have suggested extraterrestrial authorship, positing that the text represents knowledge from beyond our world. Others propose it was the work of a secret society, a coded repository of wisdom meant to survive centuries in obscurity. While evidence for these ideas remains elusive, they highlight the manuscript's unique capacity to inspire wonder, debate, and speculation, an artifact whose power lies as much in its mystery as in any factual content. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the Voynich manuscript is its silence. Unlike other historical texts, it offers no names, no dates, and no direct context. Its voice is simultaneously intimate and alien, a whisper across the centuries that invites curiosity but refuses to explain itself. Every attempt to read it, every hypothesis proposed only deepens the sense of awe. As we turn its fragile pages in imagination, we are reminded that the pursuit of knowledge often encounters limits, moments where history, science, and reason meet the unknown. The Voynich manuscript is one of those moments, a relic that defies comprehension, yet draws us inexorably closer, urging us to search, decode, and speculate. What secrets remain hidden within its looping script and enigmatic illustrations? What knowledge, wisdom, or insight has been lost to time, waiting for the right mind or the right method to unlock it? For now, the manuscript rests in quiet preservation, its pages yellowed but undiminished in their power to captivate. It is a mystery both tangible and unfathomable, a testament to human curiosity, and a reminder that some of history's greatest enigmas may never yield their answers, but will continue to inspire wonder for generations to come. From the cryptic pages of the Voynich manuscript, where symbols and illustrations whisper of knowledge long obscured, we now journey eastward across continents and millennia to the rolling plains of China's Shanxi province. Beneath the modern city of Xi'an lies one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, guarded by the enigmatic terracotta army. A silent host frozen in time, yet hinting at secrets still buried deep beneath the earth. The first glimpse of the terracotta army is awe-inspiring. Thousands of life-sized figures, soldiers, chariots, horses, and even acrobats stand in precise battle formations within vast earthen pits. Each figure is unique, their faces individualized, their armor and weapons painstakingly sculpted. The scale alone is staggering. Estimates suggest over 8,000 soldiers, 600 horses, and 130 chariots were created to guard the emperor in the afterlife. The level of detail and organization reflects a civilization of extraordinary skill and ambition, capable of mobilizing tens of thousands of workers to realize a vision both grand and mysterious. The mausoleum itself remains largely unexcavated. Historical texts, particularly those by Sima Qian in the records of the Grand Historian, describe an underground palace beneath a massive mound filled with treasures, rivers of mercury, and traps designed to protect the emperor for eternity. Modern surveys have detected unusually high levels of mercury in the surrounding soil, lending some credence to these accounts. Yet the vast chamber itself remains sealed, unexplored, and largely inaccessible. What lies within is a mystery preserved for over 2,000 years. Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, unified the warring states in 221 BCE, laying the foundations for an empire that endures in memory and infrastructure to this day. Yet his quest for immortality reveals a paradox. In striving to cheat death, he left behind a monumental tomb that continues to challenge the living. Was the terracotta army intended solely as protection in the afterlife, or does it serve a deeper symbolic purpose? Could the arrangement of the soldiers, chariots, and weapons reflect the emperor's military strategies, cosmic beliefs, or an encoded map of his empire? Archaeologists and historians have long debated the origins and construction techniques of the terracotta army. Each figure was formed in modular sections, torsos, limbs, heads, then assembled, fired, and painted. Some figures show evidence of lacquer coatings, pigments that once rendered them vividly lifelike. But much of the colour has faded or flaked away, leaving the silent grey army standing in solemn formation. The precision of their creation raises questions about the technological capabilities of Qin-era craftsmen. How was it possible to produce thousands of unique figures in such a short span of time, while maintaining uniformity and scale? The tomb's unexcavated core adds to the enigma. According to ancient records, the underground palace was designed to mirror the heavens, with rivers of mercury flowing to represent oceans, and celestial bodies mapped on its ceilings. Excavation remains limited in part due to the dangers posed by mercury contamination and the scale of the undertaking. Could the tomb contain not only treasures but knowledge, records, maps, or mechanisms intentionally sealed from the world above? And if so, why did such a vast and sophisticated culture leave its emperor's resting place so thoroughly hidden, risking the loss of history itself? Some scholars suggest that the entire mausoleum may be a symbolic representation of Qin Shi Huang's vision of an eternal empire. The terracotta army, standing guard, could embody the emperor's desire for control even beyond death, a literal army frozen in time to maintain order in the afterlife. Yet, the precision and artistry also suggest that the tomb's builders were inspired by concepts of cosmology, ritual, and immortality that we only partially understand. Were there ceremonial purposes embedded in the arrangement of the pits and figures meant to communicate with deities, spirits, or cosmic forces? Fringe theories add further intrigue. Some propose that Qin Shi Huang's tomb may house advanced ancient technologies, mechanical devices, or even chemical traps designed to protect the emperor. Others speculate that the levels of mercury detected are evidence of metallurgical experiments or a symbolic attempt to mimic the flow of rivers. While such ideas remain speculative, they underscore the enduring fascination with a tomb whose full extent and contents are still veiled beneath meters of earth. The terracotta army also poses questions about cultural memory and preservation. While the figures stand today as a testament to the emperor's power, they also bear witness to the passage of time, human ambition, and the mysteries that survive long after empires fade. Every excavated soldier tells a story of craftsmanship, societal organisation, and the intense dedication of thousands of workers whose names are lost to history. And yet the central figure, the emperor himself, remains unseen, shrouded in legend and the earth itself. Standing at the pits today, visitors often report a palpable sense of awe. The silence of the clay soldiers, their individualized expressions, and their endless formations convey both human achievement and enigma. One cannot help but wonder what secrets lie beyond the pits beneath the massive mound that marks Qin Shi Huang's resting place. What rituals, treasures, or knowledge were intended for a ruler who sought to command the afterlife itself? The mystery endures because much of the tomb remains sealed, untouched by modern hands. The combination of historical record, archaeological evidence, and the sheer scale of ambition leaves a tension between what is known and what may forever remain hidden? Was Qin Shi Huang's afterlife a realm of infinite power, carefully constructed to mirror the living world, or does it conceal truths we are not yet prepared to uncover? For now, the Emperor's tomb waits beneath the earth, his army silent, his treasures concealed, and his ambitions frozen in time. It is a place where history, art, and enigma converge, a reminder that even the greatest achievements of humanity can leave questions that defy resolution. As the shadows lengthen across the pits of Xi'an, one is left to wonder how much of history lies beneath the surface, and how many mysteries of our past remain patiently waiting, sealed in silence to be discovered. From the plains of Shanqi, where the terracotta army stands as a testament to one emperor's desire for eternal protection. Our journey now turns across oceans and continents to the tropical lowlands of southern Mexico. Here, amid the dense forests and river valleys of Veracruz and Tabasco, stand silent sentinels of a civilization long vanished. The mechanical colossal heads, stone faces carved on a scale that continues to astonish archaeologists and inspire speculation. At first sight, the mech heads are almost surreal. Each figure towers between 6 and 10 ft in height, sculpted from massive basalt boulders, transported in some cases over 50 miles from distant volcanic highlands. The sheer weight of the stones, often several tons, hints at extraordinary skill and organisation among a civilization that flourished around 1500 to 400 BCE, predating the Maya and Aztec by centuries. Every head is adorned with a distinctive helmet-like headdress, and the faces, rendered with remarkable individuality, convey expressions that seem human, yet enigmatic, serene, contemplative, or in some cases, unscrammably severe. These heads were not decorative or casual monuments. They were clearly ceremonial, perhaps commemorative, honouring rulers or warriors whose names are lost to history. Yet the Olm left behind no written records that definitively identify the subjects of these imposing sculptures. Who were these leaders, and why did the Olm invest such monumental effort into immortalising their likenesses in stone? What messages, if any, were intended to endure through the millennia? The methods of construction and transportation remain an enduring puzzle. Scholars have proposed that Thebes used a combination of rolling logs, rafts, and sheer manpower to move the stones from the basalt quarries to their final resting places. Yet the precision of carving, the uniformity of scale, and the consistency of facial detail suggest not only logistical ingenuity, but also highly developed artistic techniques. How did a society without metal tools and written architectural plans achieve such monumental feats? And why choose basalt, dense, heavy, and difficult to sculpt over more manageable materials? The CH heads are also striking for their stylistic uniqueness. Unlike other Mesoamerican art forms which frequently depict deities, animals, or abstract patterns, these colossal portraits focus on human likenesses, emphasizing individual features. Some researchers suggest that the heads reflect a sophisticated understanding of physiognomy, social hierarchy, and identity, concepts that seem advanced for a civilization with no known written language. Did these heads serve a practical purpose, such as asserting political authority, or were they symbolic representations meant to communicate power and lineage across generations? The head's placement in ceremonial centres adds another layer of mystery. Sites such as San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes were carefully designed with plazas, pyramids, and drainage systems. Yet the colossal heads often stand apart from the main structures, prominently positioned in open spaces. Were they intended to impress visitors, mark sacred ground, or serve as guardians watching over the city? Some scholars argue that their placement may encode astronomical or cosmological significance, aligning with the sun, stars, or solstices, but definitive proof remains elusive. Beyond the technical and artistic questions lies a deeper enigma: Thebes' civilization itself. Often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica, Thebes left behind monumental architecture, sophisticated trade networks, and intricate artworks, but no deciphered writing, no notices, no narratives to explain their world-view. The colossal heads in their silent majesty are among the few tangible echoes of a society whose beliefs, social structures, and daily lives remain largely hidden. Could these massive portraits have been part of a broader spiritual or ritual system, connecting rulers, ancestors, and gods in ways that we cannot yet reconstruct? Fringe theories, though speculative, underscore the fascination these sculptures inspire. Some propose that the heads exhibit features suggestive of transoceanic contact, pointing to influences beyond Mesoamerica. Others speculate that the exaggerated headgear and proportions encode lost knowledge or serve as symbolic maps of political or cosmological territories. While such ideas remain outside mainstream scholarship, they highlight the tension between what is visible and what is unknowable, a hallmark of all truly compelling archaeological mysteries. Theme heads are not merely artifacts, they are expressions of human ambition and identity. Each face seems to gaze forward across centuries, confronting us with questions we cannot fully answer. Were these rulers, shamanic figures, or mythic archetypes? What stories did the Olm intend these monuments to convey to their people and to the generations that would follow? How did a civilization without writing communicate authority, memory, and cultural continuity through stone alone? Even the act of discovery carries a weight of wonder. When 19th and 20th century explorers first documented the heads, they were struck not only by their scale, but by their sense of presence. Unlike smaller statues or fragments, these figures occupy space with authority. They dominate the landscape, commanding attention, as if the past itself had reached across time to confront the present. Walking among them today, one can feel the deliberate intent embedded in every carved feature, the curve of a cheek, the set of a jaw, the tilt of an eye. The colossal heads also speak to endurance. Despite centuries of exposure to tropical rains, shifting soils, and human interference, these sculptures remain remarkably preserved, testament both to the skill of their creators and the resilience of basalt itself. Yet their preservation also reminds us of what has been lost. Many heads were displaced, buried, or broken, and much of the Mech civilization, including its smaller artworks, its rituals, and perhaps its very written language, has vanished. The heads stand as solitary witnesses, fragments of a broader narrative we can only glimpse. As we gaze upon these silent giants today, one is struck by the tension between familiarity and mystery. Their faces are human, yet their meanings remain hidden. They command our attention, yet they withhold their stories. They are monuments to achievement, devotion, and perhaps something more, a message cast in stone, meant to endure far beyond the lifetimes of those who carved them. What truths remain buried in the river valleys of Veracruz and Tabasco? Who were the figures immortalized in basalt, and what world did they govern? Are the heads guardians of forgotten knowledge or symbols of human ambition frozen in time? For now, the Mech colossal heads stand in quiet authority, their gazes unbroken by centuries, their intentions veiled in mystery. They remind us that even in the Americas, as in Africa, Asia, and Europe, ancient civilizations created works of immense scale and sophistication, leaving behind questions as enduring as the stones themselves. Questions that continue to inspire wonder, investigation, and imagination. From the dense forests and river valleys of ancient Mesoamerica, where the Mech colossal heads silently guard the memory of a vanished civilization, our journey now turns northward to the rolling hills of southern Ohio. Here, amid grassy ridges and quiet streams, lies a monumental creation of Earth, the Great Serpent Mound. A meandering effigy mound that continues to captivate archaeologists, historians, and curious visitors with its scale, precision, and enduring mystery. At first glance, the mound is deceptively simple. From ground level, it appears as a low, sinuous ridge stretching across the landscape. But when viewed from above, the full design emerges. A colossal serpent more than 1/300 ft in length, twisting and coiling in a sinuous pattern, its head raised, and according to some interpretations, poised to strike. The curves of the body, the tapering of the tail, and the pronounced oval at the serpent's head suggest a deliberate and sophisticated design, carefully shaped over time using layers of soil, clay, and stone. The question that has haunted researchers for generations is deceptively simple. Who built it, and why? Estimates suggest the mound was constructed between 170 and 300 BCE, possibly by cultures associated with the Adena, or Fort Ancient Peoples, though the precise builders remain uncertain. The scale of the work indicates a remarkable understanding of engineering and labour organisation, as well as a deep connection to the land itself. Yet unlike the Olmec heads or the Terracotta Army, the Great Serpent Mound leaves no accompanying artefacts, no inscriptions, and no written records to explain its purpose. Many theories attempt to illuminate its function. Some archaeologists propose that it served as a ceremonial site, a place of ritual significance where the curves of the serpent symbolized water, fertility, or the cycles of nature. Others suggest astronomical purposes. The head of the serpent aligns closely with the summer solstice sunset, while other segments of the body may correspond to lunar or solar cycles. Could the builders have been tracking celestial events, mapping the heavens across the undulating terrain? Or is the alignment coincidental, a modern projection onto an ancient earthwork whose meaning is lost? The serpent itself, a symbol repeated in cultures across the world, adds another layer of intrigue. In many traditions, serpents represent renewal, life, death, and transformation. Was the Great Serpent Mound a sacred emblem of cosmic forces, a bridge between the earthly and the spiritual? Or perhaps it served as a territorial marker, a declaration of identity by a people whose social and political structures remain poorly understood. The scale suggests ambition and purpose far beyond mere decoration. Fringe theories have flourished, fueled by the effigy's dramatic form and apparent precision. Some researchers have suggested it could be a symbolic map, its curves reflecting topographical features, rivers or networks of trade. Others propose that the serpent encodes knowledge of astronomy or geomancy, preserving an ancient understanding of the cosmos that modern science has only glimpsed. More speculative ideas even hint at the mound serving as a portal, a sacred site imbued with power, though such interpretations are impossible to confirm. Excavations and studies reveal additional mysteries. The mound appears to have been built in successive layers, indicating ongoing modification over generations. Some evidence suggests burials may have been associated with the site, though these are limited and inconclusive. Unlike the mech heads or the terracotta army, the Great Serpent Mound lacks easily dated artifacts within its structure, making precise chronology challenging. The more archaeologists study it, the more questions arise. How was such a precise, elongated design achieved without aerial perspective or modern surveying tools? How did the builders coordinate labour and maintain the integrity of its curves over centuries? The surrounding landscape adds to the enigma. The mound sits atop a plateau overlooking creeks and valleys, its contours harmonising with natural rises in the terrain. Could this placement hold symbolic significance, integrating the serpent with the land itself? Did the builders intend it to be seen from afar, or was it meant for ceremonial participants walking along its curves? And what rituals or gatherings took place here, now invisible beneath centuries of grass and soil? The Great Serpent Mound also prompts reflection on human ingenuity, and the urge to create lasting monuments like theme heads or the terracotta army. It demonstrates an ability to transform natural materials into forms that communicate across millennia. Yet unlike other civilizations, the people who built the mound left no written word to explain themselves. The serpent coils in silence, its meaning encrypted in soil, scale, and celestial alignment. Standing at the mound today, one is struck by its elegance and the subtle power of its form. The curves of the serpent seem alive, guiding the eye along a path that rises and falls with the contours of the earth. Wind whispers across the grassy ridges, carrying the weight of centuries, as though the landscape itself remembers the hands that shaped it. It is an intimate experience, yet one that evokes a profound sense of timelessness and human mystery. What knowledge, beliefs, or rituals motivated the builders? Was the Great Serpent Mound intended to teach, to honour, or to mark cosmic patterns? How much of its original meaning has been lost to time? And how much remains hidden, awaiting discovery by those who look closely enough to read the subtle signals embedded in earth and sky? For now, the serpent coils in quiet authority. Its body etched in the Ohio landscape, enduring yet enigmatic, it stands as a reminder that across continents and eras, human beings have sought to leave their mark, shaping stone, soil, and earth itself into forms that speak silently of ambition, devotion, and mysteries that still defy explanation. The Great Serpent Mound, like so many wonders we've explored, invites us to wonder what lies beneath the surface of our world and our history, patiently awaiting discovery. From the winding mounds of Ohio, where the Great Serpent Mound coils silently across the landscape, our journey now returns across oceans to the Mediterranean shores, to the fabled city of Alexandria, Egypt. Amid the ruins of a city renowned for its ancient library and legendary lighthouse, archaeologists have uncovered an artifact that has sparked both fascination and unease: the Black Sarcophagus, a massive tomb whose origins and contents remain shrouded in mystery, challenging everything we thought we knew about Hellenistic and Roman Alexandria. The first impression is immediate and unsettling. The sarcophagus, carved from a single block of black granite, measures over 2 meters in length and bears a heavy, ominous presence. Its lid is sealed, immovable, and inscribed with faint weathered carvings that hint at literary purpose. The sheer size and density of the stone suggest it was intended for someone of extraordinary importance, or perhaps to guard something far more enigmatic. Unlike other sarcophagi found in the region, its interior remains untouched, preserved by centuries beneath layers of sand, debris, and the rising and falling tides of the Nile Delta. Carbon dating of surrounding materials and preliminary archaeological analysis suggest that the sarcophagus may date back to the late Ptolemaic or early Roman period, roughly 2,000 years ago. Yet there is little consensus. The inscriptions are worn and fragmentary, making definitive identification impossible. No skeletal. Remains, artifacts, or records directly link it to a specific individual, leaving the tomb suspended in a liminal space between history and legend. The discovery has prompted intense speculation. Some researchers suggest that it may belong to a high-ranking Ptolemaic official, a wealthy merchant, or a Roman dignitary. Others are intrigued by the possibility of an even more remarkable occupant, someone whose burial was meant to signal power, secrecy, or even fear. Reports from the initial opening of the site describe a faint odour rising from the sarcophagus and traces of liquid within, further fueling theories about unusual preservation methods, poisons, or chemical reactions sealed within the stone. The sarcophagus itself raises technical and logistical questions. Crafted from a single block of granite, it would have required immense skill, manpower, and resources to quarry, transport, and position. How did ancient artisans without modern machinery achieve such precision? And why was such extraordinary effort invested in sealing the tomb so completely that even centuries later its lid resists opening without modern tools? The sarcophagus seems designed not merely to isolate, to protect, or perhaps to contain something beyond ordinary comprehension. Equally puzzling are the inscriptions and imagery adorning the tomb. Though faded, they hint at literary ritual, religious symbolism, and perhaps warnings. Some interpret the carvings as conventional, consistent with Egyptian and hedonistic burial practices, while others see cryptic motifs that suggest hidden knowledge or esoteric beliefs. Could these symbols have been intended as protective measures, spells, warnings, or incantations to safeguard the deceased? Or do they point to practices that were unusual even for Alexandria, a city where Egyptian, Greek, and Roman cultures intertwined in complex and sometimes secretive ways? Fringe theories abound naturally given the sarcophagus's dramatic presentation. Some suggest the tomb contains a figure of historical infamy, a ruler or priest whose life or death was purposefully obscured. Others propose that the liquids discovered within may have been part of a chemical preservation technique, hinting at an understanding of processes long forgotten. There are even whispers amplified by modern media that the sarcophagus may be cursed or linked to supernatural phenomena. While such claims remain speculative and unverified, they underscore the profound aura of mystery surrounding the tomb. Mainstream archaeology, meanwhile, proceeds with caution. The potential hazards of opening a sealed granite sarcophagus, combined with the need for careful documentation and preservation, have delayed full exploration. Every attempt to investigate the interior must balance curiosity with safety, leaving the world in suspense. What lies within, human remains, relics, or something altogether unexpected, remains a question that hangs over Alexandria like the Mediterranean mist, intangible yet tantalizing. The black sarcophagus also illuminates the enigmatic nature of Alexandria itself. Founded by Alexander the Great and enriched by centuries of trade, conquest, and culture, the city was a melting pot of innovation, ritual, and ambition. Tombs like this one suggest that amid the known and the documented, there were practices, hierarchies, and perhaps secrets that have not survived the ravages of time. The sarcophagus may be one of the few remaining tangible links to these hidden aspects of the ancient city, a silent witness to a chapter of history that eludes full understanding. Standing in its presence today, even without lifting the lid, one cannot help but sense the weight of centuries. The granite surface, cold and immovable, seems almost to pulse with purpose. It speaks not of spectacle or display, but of intention, a deliberate act designed to preserve, protect, or perhaps conceal. Its silence is profound, a reminder that some mysteries endure precisely because they were meant to endure, untouched and unknowable, challenging the observer to consider the limits of historical knowledge. What secrets does the black sarcophagus guard? Who lies within, and for what reasons was the tomb constructed with such extraordinary care? Are we glimpsing the resting place of an ordinary ruler, or something far more enigmatic, an artifact whose significance stretches beyond what surviving texts and artifacts can reveal? For now, the black sarcophagus of Alexandria remains a sealed testament to human ambition, ritual, and mystery. It invites us to ponder not only the individual or entity within, but also the ancient world itself, a civilization rich with power, symbolism, and secrets. As the sun sets over the Mediterranean coast, casting long shadows across the ruins of the ancient city, the sarcophagus rests in quiet authority, a monumental enigma that continues to challenge, intrigue, and inspire the imagination, leaving the ultimate truth tantalizingly out of reach. From the marshlands of ancient Iraq, where the Ubada lizard figurines whisper of spiritual worlds long forgotten, our journey now carries us to the remote expanse of the South Pacific, to an island that rises from the ocean like a forgotten fragment of time. Rapa Nui, better known as Easter Island. Here, scattered across volcanic slopes and coastal plains, stand the Moai statues, monolithic guardians whose presence has captivated the world with both their scale and the mysteries they embody. The first encounter with the Moai is arresting. Carved from volcanic ash, these statues vary in height from 10 to over 30 ft with massive heads disproportionately larger than their bodies. Their faces rendered with elongated noses, deep-set eyes, and solemn expressions. Some bare-carved pukao, cylindrical stone hats of red scoria perched atop their heads, adding further height and majesty, positioned across ridges along coastlines or atop ceremonial platforms known as Au. The statues seem to watch over the island, their gaze fixed yet enigmatic, scanning the horizon and silently witnessing centuries of human activity. The Moai were crafted by the Rapa Nui people beginning around the 13th century CE, yet questions persist about the techniques and purposes behind these monumental creations. How did a small population on a remote island with limited resources and rudimentary tools quarry, transport and erect these massive statues, some weighing as much as 80 tons across uneven terrain and volcanic ridges? Various experiments and reconstructions have suggested ingenious methods involving rolling sledges or walking movements, but no single theory fully explains the remarkable efficiency and precision with which these statues were moved and positioned. Beyond the logistics lies the enigma of meaning. The Moai are widely believed to represent ancestral figures, chiefs or deified leaders, embodiment of mana, a spiritual force thought to protect communities and maintain societal cohesion. They were erected facing inland toward the villages, suggesting that they were meant to watch over the people rather than the sea. Yet the scale and number of statues, nearly 1,000 scattered across an island of only 63 square miles, raise questions about the motivations and social structures necessary to mobilize such monumental projects. What cultural, religious, or political imperatives drove the Rapa Nui to invest such extraordinary effort into stone? The Moai also pose intriguing questions about environmental and societal dynamics. The island was once heavily forested, yet by the time Europeans arrived in the 18th century, much of the vegetation had disappeared. Some scholars suggest that the construction and transport of the statues contributed to deforestation, while others emphasize the impact of introduced species or climatic shifts. Could the statues in their silent authority represent a society deeply attuned to its land, yet simultaneously caught in the consequences of its own monumental ambitions? Fringe theories have emerged inspired by the sheer audacity of the statues. Some suggest that the Moai encode astronomical or cylindrical knowledge, their placements aligning with solstices, equinoxes, or celestial events. Others speculate about external influence, hypothesizing lost maritime cultures, or even transoceanic contact. Though evidence for these claims remains inconclusive, still, These theories underscore the sense that the Moai are more than mere monuments. They're expressions of human ingenuity and spiritual intent. Yet, they continue to elude complete understanding. The artistry and symbolism of the Moai are equally compelling. While the figures share stylistic consistency, elongated features, prominent noses, heavy brows, the individuality of each statue is remarkable. Subtle variations in facial structure, posture, and carving detail suggest that each Moai represents a specific ancestor or leader, a personalized embodiment of authority and lineage. Some statues were accompanied by smaller figures or petroglyphs, further hinting at ritualized practices now largely invisible to us. How did the Rapa Nui conceptualize these relationships between ancestor, spirit, and landscape? And how were these beliefs encoded in stone? The construction sites themselves, primarily the quarries at Rano Raraku, offer tantalizing clues. Broken or unfinished statues lie in rows, some still partially embedded in bedrock, providing insight into carving techniques and tools. Yet even here mysteries remain. Why were so many statues abandoned mid-construction? Did political upheaval, resource scarcity, or spiritual considerations intervene? And once completed, what drove the precise placement of each Moai along the island's coasts on platforms that required meticulous planning, engineering, and communal coordination? The Moai in their enduring presence are as much about human ambition as they are about mystery. They speak to a society that achieved remarkable feats under isolated and challenging conditions, transforming volcanic stone into monumental expressions of identity, authority, and spirituality. Their silent gaze connects past and present, inviting reflection on the interplay between culture, environment, and belief. Standing among the statues today, one cannot ignore their scale and the profound stillness they impose. Wind sweeps across the slopes carrying the scent of ocean and earth, while the Moai appear unchanged, their forms unwavering despite centuries of erosion and human impact. It is easy to feel the weight of history here, to sense that each statue is a sentinel of memory, guarding not only the island's past, but the questions that remain unanswered. What inspired Rapa Nui to erect these figures, and how did they master the logistical challenges posed by such colossal creations? What spiritual or societal narratives are encoded in their solemn faces, in the careful alignment of AU, and in the remarkable individualization of each Moai? Could there be symbolic or astronomical knowledge embedded within their placement? Or do some answers remain lost, known only to the hands and minds that carved them centuries ago? For now, the Moai stand as silent witnesses. Their elongated heads and powerful torsos are testament to human ingenuity, spirituality, and ambition. Across the rugged landscapes of Rapa Nui, they continue to provoke wonder, inviting us to ponder the limits of human achievement and the enduring mysteries of cultures that, though separated from us by oceans and centuries, remain intimately connected through the traces they have left behind. From the windswept slopes of Rapa Nui, where the Moai stand as silent sentinels of human ambition and mystery, our journey now turns to the arid rocky cliffs of the Judean desert along the shores of the Dead Sea. Here, amidst a labyrinth of caves once inhabited by Arctic communities and fugitives, a remarkable artifact was discovered in the mid-10th century. The Copper Scroll, one of the most enigmatic members of the Dead Sea Scrolls collection, a relic that continues to challenge scholars, treasure hunters, and historians alike. Unlike the fragile parchment or papyrus of its companion scrolls, the Copper Scroll is made of metal. Thin sheets of copper inscribed with meticulous text, now carefully unrolled and preserved for study. Its surface bears over 60 locations written in an ancient Hebrew script detailing vast caches of gold, silver, and other treasures, often accompanied by cryptic directions and landmarks. The scroll itself is heavy, durable, and unlike anything else found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, suggesting that it was intended not for casual reading or ritual reflection, but as a permanent record, a map carved in metal to endure the ravages of time. Dating to approximately 50 to 100 CE, the Copper Scroll is often linked to the turbulent period of the First Jewish-Roman War. Some scholars interpret it as a record of temple treasures hidden to protect them from Roman forces. Others argue that the document may not be literal at all, but symbolic, a coded description of wealth, power, or spiritual abundance. The uniqueness of the material and its detailed instructions make it unlike any other text of its time, and it raises profound questions about both its origin and purpose. The scroll's instructions are both precise and baffling. Locations are described with references to topographical features, distances, and markers that may have been familiar to contemporaries, but are largely unrecognizable today. Attempts to locate the treasures have been largely unsuccessful. Over decades, explorers, archaeologists, and enthusiasts have sought to decode the text and pinpoint the sites. Yet the desert has kept its secrets. Could the treasures have been recovered in antiquity, leaving only a legend behind? Or do they remain hidden, a silent testament to the ambitions and fears of a society on the brink of upheaval? The very existence of the Copper Scroll raises questions about the people who created it. Why was such extraordinary effort invested in inscribing information on copper, a material demanding skill and labour to manipulate with ancient tools? What level of organisation, knowledge of metallurgy, and access to resources would have been necessary to produce such a document? And why, if the treasure was so valuable, was the scroll left behind only to be discovered 2 millennia later in a remote cave? Some scholars suggest that the Copper Scroll represents a coded language accessible only to those initiated in its meaning. Were the instructions deliberately obscured to prevent theft? Could the measurements, directions, and descriptions carry symbolic, astronomical, or ritual significance beyond mere treasure hunting? The idea that a physical map might simultaneously encode spiritual or esoteric knowledge is a tantalizing possibility, hinting at layers of meaning that modern readers may never fully reconstruct. Fringe theories surrounding the Copper Scroll have only deepened its aura of mystery. Some propose that the scroll references lost treasures of the Second Temple, possibly including sacred objects of profound religious importance. Others suggest that it may contain allegorical or prophetic significance, a coded warning or message intended for a future generation. Still others posit that the scroll could point to hidden networks of wealth, political power, or secret communities operating in the shadows of Roman Judea. While many of these theories remain speculative, they reflect the tension between the tangible reality of the copper sheets and the inscrutable narrative they contain. The scroll also raises broader questions about the nature of memory, secrecy, and survival. It exists as a record that has outlasted empires, conquests, and centuries of desert storms. Yet, it tells a story that remains incomplete. How much knowledge or history was encoded in its meticulous script, and how much has been irretrievably lost? Does the Copper Scroll reflect a society grappling with instability and war, preserving wealth and knowledge for a future it could not imagine? Or is it a testament to human ingenuity, a deliberate act of preservation that challenges us to think beyond conventional notions of text, treasure, and record-keeping? Standing before the Copper Scroll, whether in the desert caves where it was found or in the quiet halls of a museum, one is struck by its tangible weight and enduring mystery. The grooves etched into copper capture both human precision and human intent. Yet they leave questions unspoken, directions unfulfilled, and treasures unclaimed. There is a palpable sense of connection across time, a community of people who laboured to preserve knowledge, and a modern audience that continues to grapple with the same enigmas. The Copper Scroll is in a sense a bridge between worlds, the practical and the symbolic, the temporal and the eternal. Its locations may have been physical, yet their significance remains layered with ritual, caution, and perhaps even secrecy designed to survive centuries. Its message endures in the tension between what can be read and what can be understood, between what is visible to the eye and what lies hidden in the sands and rocks of the Judean desert. What treasures, literal or symbolic, lie waiting beneath the sands, concealed from human hands for millennia? Was the Copper Scroll intended to preserve material wealth, sacred knowledge, or both? And as modern explorers and scholars continue to study its inscriptions, will its secrets ever be fully revealed? Or are they meant to remain just beyond our grasp, an eternal puzzle carved in enduring metal? For now, the Copper Scroll rests as both artifact and enigma, a tangible piece of history whose full story has yet to unfold. Its letters etched into unforgiving copper continues to invite wonder, speculation, and reflection, reminding us that even in a world that prizes discovery, some mysteries endure patiently, quietly, waiting for those willing to seek them out. From the sun-scanched caves of the Judean desert, Where the copper scroll lies etched in enduring metal, our exploration now turns eastward across continents and oceans to the misty plains and river valleys of ancient Japan. Here, amid settlements of the Joan period, archaeologists have unearthed an extraordinary array of small enigmatic clay artifacts, the dog figurines, delicate yet powerful objects that continue to provoke wonder, speculation, and awe. At first glance, the dogs are almost alien in appearance. Standing just a few inches to a foot tall, these clay figures are often elaborately adorned with exaggerated features, large almond-shaped eyes, intricate body markings, and sometimes adorned with horn-like projections or flared hips. Many appear humanoid, yet their proportions are distorted or abstracted, suggesting forms that straddle the boundary between the human and the symbolic, the natural and the mystical. Each figurine seems imbued with personality, as if it were crafted not merely as an object, but as a vessel for life, intent, or spirit. Do figurines date back as far as 14,000 BCE? With the peak of their production occurring around 1 to 400 BCE, they were crafted by the Jon people, a hunter-gatherer society known for its distinctive pottery, cord-marked designs, and early sedentary settlements. Unlike utilitarian objects, the dogs seem to exist primarily in the symbolic or ritual realm. Many were intentionally broken or buried. A practice that suggests deliberate ritual deactivation or transformation, a deliberate act to release their power, appease spirits, or mark the conclusion of a ceremony. The purpose of the dog has long been debated. Some scholars propose that they were fertility symbols intended to ensure bountiful harvests or healthy childbirth. Others interpret the figures as representations of deities, shamans, or protective spirits. Some do appear to wear what looks like armor or ritual garb, their limbs articulated in ways that hint at movement or posture, possibly representing dances, ceremonies, or spiritual gestures. Could these figurines have served as conduits between humans and unseen forces, intermediaries through which the Jans sought to influence their world? The craftsmanship of the Tao is remarkable. Made from clay and sometimes baked in high-temperature fires, the figures were often carved with intricate lines, incised patterns, or painted in subtle pigments. Many exhibit a high degree of symmetry and stylization, suggesting sophisticated knowledge of form and design. How did small communities of foragers without writing or metallurgy produce such consistent and highly detailed symbolic objects across vast stretches of time and geography? The answer may lie in deeply embedded cultural practices, yet the precise meanings encoded in these shapes remain elusive. Certain dog figurines, particularly those with large goggle-like eyes, have fueled speculation and even fascination outside mainstream archaeology. Some interpret these features as symbolic, representing heightened perception, spiritual vision, or a supernatural gaze. Others, more controversially, have proposed that the figures may depict entities or beings that were more than human, drawing parallels with imaginative interpretations of extraterrestrial or mythological contact. While such ideas remain speculative, they underscore the compelling strangeness of these forms and their capacity to evoke wonder beyond conventional frameworks. The contexts in which dogs are found offer additional insight and intrigue. Many were discovered in ritual deposits near hearths, burial sites, or midden heaps, suggesting a strong connection to domestic, spiritual, and communal life. The intentional breaking of certain figures, sometimes at precise joints or limbs, hints at practices of ceremonial deactivation, a ritual act that might have been intended to release the spiritual essence contained within. What cultural logic underpins these practices? Were the figurines literal representations of gods or symbolic placeholders in ceremonies whose full meaning has been lost to time? Dog also invites reflection on the interplay between human imagination and the natural world. Many figurines appear to merge human and animal traits, blurring boundaries in ways that suggest cosmological or animistic beliefs. Large eyes, pointed ears, flared hips, and stylized limbs may indicate powers, attributes, or identities that transcended ordinary human experience. Did the German people conceive of these figures as living beings in miniature, intermediaries, or protective talismans? Or were they symbolic tools aiding ritual, meditation, or social cohesion within communities whose belief systems are now largely inaccessible? Despite centuries of study, much about the dog remains unresolved. Their variety is vast. Some are small and portable, others more elaborate, yet few are identical. Their proliferation over thousands of years implies deep cultural significance. Yet the exact function, meaning or ritual context is still largely conjectural. The objects endure as artifacts of human creativity and spirituality, bridging the distant past to the present, yet preserving their mysteries in clay. Standing among them in imagination, one can almost sense the rhythms of German life. The crackling of fires, the weaving of mats, the preparation of ceremonial spaces, the careful moulding of clay into forms both familiar and strange. Each figurine seems alive, its gaze compelling, its shape a silent story of human ingenuity, belief, and ritual. They carry the weight of centuries, a testament to a people who understood that even small objects could hold profound meaning. What spirits, intentions, or messages were carried in the hands of those who shaped the dog? How did these small figures interact with the lives, beliefs, and ceremonies of the Yan communities? And as we examine them today, can we ever truly perceive the spiritual or cultural dimensions they once embodied? Or will some aspects of their mystery forever remain beyond our reach? For now, the dog figurines endure, fragile yet resilient, their exaggerated features and enigmatic forms, a window into an ancient imagination. They invite us to contemplate the invisible worlds of belief, ritual, and symbolism, reminding us that even the smallest artifacts can carry the weight of human wonder, curiosity, and the enduring allure of mysteries that time has not yet revealed. From the delicate clay of Japan, where the dog figurines evoke mysteries of ritual and imagination, our journey now shifts westward across oceans and centuries to the arid desert of eastern California. Here, amid the rugged terrain and salt flats of the Coso Range, an artifact was unearthed in the 19th century that has confounded researchers and enthusiasts alike. The Coso artifact, a seemingly ordinary object whose discovery has sparked decades of debate, fascination, and speculation. The artifact itself is small, roughly the size of a spark plug, yet its appearance is at once mundane and inexplicably mysterious. Encased in what appears to be a concretion of rock and mineral deposits, it was found embedded in layers of sediment estimated to be hundreds of thousands of years old. The object consists of a metallic core encased in a ceramic-like outer shell and includes components resembling a modern electrical device. To the untrained eye, it could be dismissed as a geological anomaly, but the details suggest a level of technological sophistication that seems impossible given the estimated age of the surrounding deposits. Discovered in 1961 by a team of rock collectors and geologists searching for geodesics, the Coso artifact quickly drew attention because of its incongruous characteristics. Traditional archaeological and geological analysis initially suggested that the concretion might be millions of years old, creating a puzzling tension. How could a manufactured metal and ceramic object exist in deposits so ancient? Mainstream explanations soon offered more conventional interpretations, including the possibility that it was a 1920s-era spark plug from a mining or automotive context, its apparent antiquity exaggerated by mineralization. Yet, the artifact's unusual form and the nature of its encasement continue to invite curiosity and skepticism. The Coso artifact raises fundamental questions about context, preservation, and time. The concretion surrounding the metal core is unusually dense and suggests a slow and prolonged process of mineral deposition. Could natural processes account for the strange appearance and apparent fossilization of the object, or is something more enigmatic at play? The artifact's shape with a central rod and ceramic-like insulation resembles components of modern electrical devices, and this similarity has inspired speculation about the possibility of ancient technology far ahead of its time. Were such materials and designs conceivable for prehistoric or early historic peoples? Or are we witnessing a coincidental resemblance, a trick of perception amplified by the mystery of context? Fringe theories surrounding the Coso artifact abound, fueled by the tension between the apparent age of its concretion and the sophistication of its design. Some have speculated that it represents evidence of lost technology or anachronistic devices from a forgotten civilization. Others suggest more extraordinary possibilities, advanced knowledge imparted to humanity by unknown sources or remnants of technologies from otherworldly origins. While these ideas remain speculative, they illustrate the artifact's ability to ignite the imagination and challenge conventional narratives about human technological development. Mainstream archaeology and geology, however, approach the artifact with caution. The consensus leans toward a more prosaic explanation that the object is a relatively modern spark plug whose unusual mineralization resulted from natural processes over decades in the harsh alkaline desert environment. X-ray analysis and metallurgical studies have revealed typical spark plug components, and the concretion is understood to be the result of rapid mineral deposition under desert conditions. Yet even with these explanations, questions persist. How did it become encased so completely in such a way that it resembled an artifact buried for millennia? And what conditions are required to create the peculiar appearance that makes it seem so ancient, so extraordinary at first glance? The Koso artifact also invites reflection on human perception and the stories we attach to objects. Its small size belies the vast curiosity it inspires, a reminder that even ordinary-looking items can become portals to wonder when their context is misunderstood or mysterious. The artifact's story is a dialogue between the tangible, the metal and ceramic, the concretion and the interpretive, the age, the origin, the potential significance. Each layer of rock, each trace of mineral becomes a clue, a fragment of a puzzle whose final image remains unresolved. Standing in the arid expanse of the Koso Range today, one can imagine the desert winds, the heat shimmering over cracked earth, the occasional glint of metal beneath the surface, echoes of a landscape that has witnessed both natural transformation and human curiosity. The artifact itself, though small and inert, carries with it a weight of speculation, bridging the realms of possibility and probability. It challenges our assumptions about technological history and the relationship between objects and context, prompting questions that may never be fully answered. What stories lie embedded in the concretion of the Koso artifact? Was it merely a modern object transformed by mineralization, or could it hint at a deeper, more mysterious narrative of technology, human ingenuity, or forgotten knowledge? Could the desert itself, with its slow geological processes, have inadvertently preserved an object in such a way that it confounds our sense of time? And as we continue to examine, question, and theorize, do we come closer to understanding, or does the artifact persist in its quiet, stubborn enigma, resisting definitive explanation? For now, the Koso artifact rests as both curiosity and puzzle, an object whose ordinary appearance masks extraordinary implications. It reminds us that even the smallest discoveries can spark profound wonder, and that the interplay between time, nature, and human intervention can create mysteries that endure, patiently waiting for those willing to look, question, and contemplate the impossible possibilities hidden within the seemingly mundane. From the arid deserts of California, where the Koso artifact rests as a small yet perplexing testament to human ingenuity and curiosity, our journey now takes us eastward to the deep waters of the Pacific, off the southern tip of Japan's Ryukyu Islands. Beneath the waves near Yonauni-jima lie enormous stone formations that have stirred intense debate for decades. The underwater pyramids of Yonauni, a submerged cityscape whose origins, purpose, and very existence continue to challenge conventional understanding. The first impression is both awe-inspiring and unsettling. Divers descending into the clear blue waters encounter a landscape of vast terraces, monumental steps, and angular platforms, some measuring hundreds of meters in length and height. Massive stone blocks appear arranged with precision, creating what seem to be streets, plazas, and walls. At certain angles, the formations resemble pyramids or ziggurats, their edges sharp, their planes remarkably flat, and their surfaces patterned with grooves, ridges, and carvings. The scale is astonishing. These are not small rock outcrops, but monumental constructions spread across the seafloor like a city frozen in time. Discovered in 1986 by diver Kihiro Arataki, and later extensively explored by marine researcher Masaki Kimura, the Yonauni structures have sparked debate over whether they are natural formations shaped by erosion, tectonics, and ocean currents, or remnants of a prehistoric human civilization deliberately constructed and later submerged by rising sea levels. Radiocarbon dating and geological studies indicate that the area was above water as recently as 10,000 years ago during the Late Plain, raising the possibility that these terraces and platforms could have been accessible to humans long before recorded history. The formations themselves are strikingly geometric. Some terraces rise in precise right angles. Massive steps are carved at uniform intervals, creating patterns that resemble architectural intent. Certain blocks bear linear grooves that suggest tool use, while others appear arranged in deliberate alignment with natural features. Could such precision be the result of purely geological processes, or does it hint at ancient engineering knowledge now lost to time? And if these structures were indeed man-made, what civilization could have created them? And why have no other traces survived above the waves? The question of scale further deepens the mystery. Individual terraces rise several meters high, while platforms extend hundreds of meters, requiring not only immense labour, but sophisticated knowledge of stonework and design. Some formations suggest functionality. Terraces could have been used as foundations, platforms for ceremonial activities or urban spaces. Are we glimpsing a prehistoric city submerged by rising seas at the end of the last ice age? Or are we observing a natural landscape interpreted through the human tendency to see patterns and purpose? Geological explanations point to the region's unique tectonic history. Unexplained lies at the convergence of multiple fault lines where sandstone and mudstone formations are naturally prone to fracturing along horizontal and vertical planes. Wave action, earthquakes, and erosion could have produced terraces and stepped surfaces, mimicking the appearance of construction. Skeptics argue that human interpretation often imposes order where none exists, reading intention into the random geometry of stone. Yet for many divers and researchers, the precision and scale are difficult to reconcile with purely natural forces, leaving room for speculation. Fringe theories abound, fueled by the combination of geometric clarity, massive scale, and the extreme antiquity implied by the underwater location. Some suggest that Unexplained could be the remnants of a lost civilization predating recorded history, potentially contemporaneous with the end of the last ice age. Others posit connections to mythic accounts of sunken lands or the possibility of civilizations with advanced engineering knowledge now forgotten. While such ideas remain speculative, they underscore the profound fascination inspired by formations that straddle the line between natural wonder and human achievement. Adding to the intrigue are carvings and anomalies observed at certain sites. Channels, terraces, and cut surfaces show grooves and indentations that some interpret as tools marks. Certain stones appear deliberately shaped with angular edges that do not resemble typical erosion patterns. Could these features represent symbolic or functional elements? Or are they merely coincidental outcomes of geological forces acting over millennia? And if human hands were involved, how are such massive structures manipulated without the aid of metal tools or modern technology? The Unexplained formations also challenge our understanding of time and memory. The region was above water during the Paleolithic, meaning that any human activity would have occurred in a world vastly different from the one recorded in written history. Rising sea levels, tectonic activity, and natural decay may have erased all other evidence, leaving only stone structures now submerged. If these terraces were built by humans, they hint at civilizations capable of organization, labor, and design far earlier than conventionally acknowledged. What knowledge, culture, or purpose could have existed in a prehistoric society that we now can scarcely imagine? Descending among the terraces today, one can sense both the serenity and the enormity of the seafloor landscape. Fish swim through submerged platforms. The light filters down in shifting beams, illuminating edges and steps that resemble ancient urban planning. There is a quiet majesty, a feeling of standing before something both monumental and enigmatic. Whether sculpted by human hands or carved by nature's patient forces, the formations demand contemplation, reflection, and a willingness to accept uncertainty. What truths lie beneath the waves of Unexplained? Are these structures a testament to a lost chapter of human history, or extraordinary examples of geological artistry? Could there have been communities here, their lives, beliefs, and labour submerged and forgotten, leaving only stone monuments to hint at their existence? And as the ocean continues to shape, conceal, and reveal these terraces, will we ever fully know the story behind the underwater pyramids of Japan? For now, Unexplained endures, silent, submerged, and monumental, a place where the boundaries between human endeavour and natural process blur. Its terraces and platforms invite wonder, reflection, and speculation, reminding us that beneath the familiar landscapes of our planet lie mysteries that continue to challenge our understanding, patiently waiting for the curious, the patient, and the persistent to dive into the depths of history and imagination. From the submerged terraces of Yonauni, where the Pacific waters hold secrets of form and purpose, our exploration now carries us northwest across continents and seas to the windswept plains of Brittany in northwestern France. Here, stretching across rolling fields and gentle hills, lies one of the most enigmatic megalithic landscapes in Europe. The Karnak Stones, an extraordinary assembly of standing stones, dolmens and alignments whose origins, function and meaning remain shrouded in mystery. The first sight of the Karnak Stones is arresting. Rows upon rows of megaliths extend across kilometres of countryside, some standing upright like silent sentinels, others toppled and weathered by the passage of millennia. The stones vary in size from small modest pillars to massive monoliths weighing several tons. Their surfaces are worn smooth by wind, rain, and the relentless march of time. In certain arrangements, the stones are meticulously aligned in parallel rows, while others form circles, crescents, or isolated monuments. There is a rhythm to their placement, a sense of deliberate intent, yet the patterns remain deeply enigmatic. Dating, back to approximately 4500 to 3300 BCE during the European Neolithic, the Karnak stones predate even the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Their sheer scale and number, estimated at over 3,000 standing stones, suggest an extraordinary feat of planning, organisation and labour. How did communities of early farmers wielding only stone tools and rudimentary knowledge of construction, transport and placement manage to move such massive stones over uneven terrain and position them with such precision? And why dedicate so much effort to structures whose purpose has eluded time? Theories abound, yet none fully satisfy. Some archaeologists suggest that the Karnak alignments served astronomical functions, marking the movement of the sun, moon or stars, perhaps functioning as calendars or ritual observatories. Others proposed that they delineated sacred landscapes, pathways for ceremonial processions, or territorial boundaries imbued with spiritual significance. Certain stones exhibit carvings, lines, cup marks, and abstract motifs that hint at symbolic communication. Yet their precise meaning remains undeciphered. Were they intended to guide human activity, to connect communities with celestial cycles, or to serve as a conduit between the living and the dead? The construction of the Karnak stones also implies a sophisticated understanding of collective effort. Archaeological evidence suggests that small teams could quarry and move stones using ropes, sledges, and wooden rollers. Yet the sheer number of monoliths implies coordination across generations. Communities may have worked in concert, organising labour, ritual and ceremony around these massive projects. Could the act of building have been as important as the structures themselves? A process that reinforced social cohesion, religious devotion, or cultural identity? The alignment patterns are equally perplexing. Some rows stretch for over a mile in straight lines, converging and diverging with precision. Certain stones appear to interact with natural features, rivers, hills and ridges, while others occupy flat plains. Could the lines encode astronomical knowledge, align with solstices, or mark seasonal events critical to agricultural life? Or were the patterns meant to be symbolic, representing pathways of ancestors, spirits, or mythic forces rather than practical measurements of time and space? The answers remain elusive. Fringe interpretations have also captured imaginations. Some theorists suggest that the Karnak stones are remnants of lost knowledge, markers of advanced prehistoric civilizations, or even messages intended for beings beyond our understanding. Others draw parallels with megalithic sites across the globe, proposing that these stones reflect a shared or interconnected spiritual practice in early human societies. While such claims remain speculative, they speak to the enduring power of the stones to inspire awe, wonder, and questions that challenge conventional narratives of prehistoric life. Despite centuries of study, the Karnak stones retain a profound aura of mystery. Archaeologists continue to debate their original purpose, while local legend and folklore layer additional meaning onto the landscape. Some stones are believed to be petrified giants or mythical beings, while others carry stories of healing, protection, and ritual. The stone's silent presence standing through millennia evokes both human ingenuity and the incompleteness of our understanding. They are at once monumental and intimate, connecting the scale of human effort to the quiet rhythms of natural landscapes. Walking among the Karnak stones today, one senses both the weight of time and the subtle artistry embedded in their arrangement. The wind sweeps across the plains, carrying the whispers of ancestors and the echo of hands that worked tirelessly to shape, transport and erect these stones. Each monolith, weathered and pitted, carries traces of both human intention and the relentless forces of nature. It is a place where geometry, ritual and landscape converge, and where questions outnumber answers. What messages, knowledge or spiritual intentions were encoded in the lines and circles of the Karnak stones? Were these monuments astronomical tools, sacred pathways, or markers of memory and identity? How did the communities of Neolithic Brittany conceive of their world? And what role did these stones play in shaping the rhythms of daily life, ceremony and belief? And above all, why do these silent monoliths continue to command our attention, centuries after they were erected, still resisting full comprehension? For now, the Karnak stones remain a testament to human ambition, ingenuity and mystery. They invite reflection, exploration and reverence, standing as enduring reminders that some questions, like the stones themselves, transcend time. Their rows, circles and alignments whisper of a distant past, urging us to look, to wonder, and to consider that beneath the surface of history there are legacies of creativity and purpose that continue to challenge, inspire and mystify all who encounter them. From the windswept plains of Brittany, where the Karnak stones stretch across fields in rows of silent enigma, our journey now turns southward over the Mediterranean waters to the sun-baked island of Goo, part of the Maltese archipelago. Here, amidst rolling hills and limestone cliffs, rise some of the oldest freestanding stone structures in the world. The Gantia temples, monumental megalithic constructions that have captivated archaeologists, historians and visitors for centuries with their scale, sophistication and enduring mysteries. The first encounter with Gantia is humbling. Towering slabs of limestone, some weighing tens of tons, are arranged with deliberate intent to form twin temples within a single compound. Their walls curve in gentle arcs enclosing altars, passageways, and spaces that suggest ceremonial purpose. Unlike many prehistoric sites, the Geyja temples are remarkably well preserved. Their massive stones weathered yet sturdy, their layouts both functional and symbolic. The sheer size of these monoliths, transported and erected without metal tools or modern machinery, evokes questions about the knowledge, labour and social organisation required to accomplish such feats. Dating back to approximately 3600 to 3200 BCE, the Gantia complex predates Stonehenge and many of the other megalithic wonders of Europe. The name Gantia, derived from the Maltese word for giant, reflects local legend, which attributes the construction to supernatural beings, a poetic acknowledgement of the awe these structures inspire. Scholars meanwhile seek to understand the human ingenuity behind the temples. How early Neolithic communities reliant on rudimentary tools leveraged manpower, ingenuity and the natural landscape to quarry, transport and erect such enormous stones with remarkable precision. The purpose of the Gantia temples remains a subject of fascination. Archaeological evidence suggests they were centres of ritual activity, possibly devoted to fertility, life cycles, and ancestral veneration. Carved altars, circular bases, and figurative stone carvings, some interpreted as representations of mother goddesses, suggest a spiritual and ceremonial significance deeply embedded in the lives of the Neolithic inhabitants. Could these temples have served as places of initiation, celestial observation, or communal rites designed to bind society together? And what symbolic language did the builders encode in the alignment of walls, the curvature of passages, or the positioning of altars? The scale and construction techniques of Gantia are themselves extraordinary. Stones weighing up to 50 tons were quarried locally, yet their transportation across uneven terrain would have demanded coordination, ingenuity, and a sophisticated understanding of leverage and force. How did a relatively small island population mobilize the labor necessary for such monumental work? What social or spiritual imperatives justified the collective effort? And how did these Neolithic communities conceptualize the role of such grand structures within their world? Beyond the practical challenges lie the deeper mysteries of meaning and symbolism. Certain walls and passages suggest careful planning, perhaps to direct movement, sight lines, or acoustics during ceremonies. Some researchers speculate that the temples may have been aligned with celestial events, marking solstices or equinoxes, or serving as markers for agricultural cycles. Others propose that the curving walls and twin structures represent duality, life and death, male and female, earth and sky. Yet definitive evidence remains elusive. The temples communicate intention without words, leaving their purpose to interpretation, wonder and imagination. Fringe theories surrounding Ganticha further enhance the aura of mystery. Local legends suggest the work of giants, and some modern theorists have speculated about the presence of lost or forgotten knowledge, ancient technologies, or even connections to distant civilizations. While there is no empirical evidence to support such claims, the very endurance, scale, and sophistication of the temples evoke a sense of the extraordinary, reminding us that human achievement, even in prehistoric times, can surpass our intuitive expectations. The Ganta temples also invite reflection on continuity and loss. Over millennia, the structures have endured earthquakes, weathering, and human activity, yet they stand as a silent record of a society long vanished. What daily life, rituals, and beliefs were enacted within these walls? How did the builders perceive the relationship between human and divine, earth and cosmos, community and individual? And what knowledge once encoded in stone may have been lost to time, leaving only the monumental architecture as a testament to ingenuity and devotion. Walking through the temple complex today, one senses both the intimacy and enormity of human endeavour. The low sunlight casts shadows along curved walls, the air carries the scent of limestone and the distant sea, and the massive stones, though silent, seem to echo with the labour and belief of a civilization nearly 6,000 years past. Every curve, joint and carved space invites contemplation. Here is evidence of human effort, imagination, and ritual consciousness preserved in enduring stone. What drove the Neolithic people of Gu to construct these twin temples? Was it purely ritual, a complex blend of social and spiritual purposes, or something that we cannot yet comprehend? Could the alignment, scale, and design reveal hidden knowledge about astronomy, cosmology, or societal organisation that modern scholarship has yet to decode? And as we trace our fingers along the weathered stones, feel the weight of human effort and sense the presence of long vanished hands, can we ever truly bridge the gap between their world and ours? For now, the Gantia temples stand as silent witnesses to the ingenuity, devotion and imagination of early humanity. They invite reverence, reflection and awe, reminding us that even in the distant past, human beings sought to shape their environment, communicate with the unseen, and leave lasting monuments to ideas, beliefs, and aspirations that transcend time. In the curves and monoliths of Gantia, mystery endures, patiently waiting for those who seek to uncover what remains hidden in the stones of history. From the sun-baked islands of Malta, where the Gantia temples rise in silent majesty, our journey now sweeps across continents to the fertile plains of Sichuan province, China, where an ancient civilization once thrived in secrecy, leaving behind artifacts that defy expectation and imagination. The Sang-Sing-Dui civilization. Here near the modern city of Guanghan, archaeologists have uncovered treasures that hint at a sophisticated, enigmatic society, one that challenges established narratives of early Chinese history. The first glimpses of Suning Dui are startling. Bronze masks, some over a metre tall, gaze outward with exaggerated, almost surreal features, bulging eyes, elongated ears, and angular otherworldly expressions. Thousands of artifacts, including ceremonial vessels, jade objects, and intricate gold pieces, suggest a culture of extraordinary craftsmanship, yet the scale and style of the finds are unlike anything seen in contemporaneous civilizations of the region, standing apart from the familiar Shang dynasty bronze work, both in design and conceptual audacity. Discovered initially in 1929, but excavated extensively only in the 1980s, Sang-Sing Dui was preserved beneath layers of lies and sediment for over 3,000 years. Radiocarbon dating places the site around 1200 to 1 BCE. Yet the sudden emergence of such sophisticated material culture raises profound questions. How could a civilization so technologically and artistically advanced remain almost entirely absent from historical records? And why does the style of Sang-Singing Dui, its colossal masks, abstracted human forms, and mysterious motifs seem to follow no parallel in the known history of the era. Among the most iconic discoveries are the bronze heads and masks featuring oversized eyes, flaring noses, and stylized expressions that convey a sense of both awe and power. Some appear almost alien with forms that exaggerate human features to a degree that transcends realism. What was the intention behind such dramatic distortion? Were these objects designed to channel spiritual power, to represent deities, or to intimidate? Or might they reflect a symbolic language now lost, a visual lexicon encoded in bronze that only the culture that created it could fully understand? The scale and craftsmanship of Sing Dui are extraordinary. Large bronze statues, sometimes several meters tall, were cast using complex piece mold techniques requiring extensive resources, skill, and coordination. The precision of the work, the intricate designs, and the sheer variety of ceremonial objects suggest a society with specialized artisans, organized labor, and sophisticated religious or cultural practices. Yet the society left no known written records, no palaces, no tombs comparable to the scale of its material culture, deepening the mystery of its social structure and purpose. Archaeologists continue to puzzle over the abrupt disappearance of Sing Dui. The city and its culture seem to vanish from the archaeological record without explanation, leaving no clear successors. Some scholars hypothesize natural disasters such as flooding or earthquakes, while others propose social upheaval or migration as potential causes. Yet none of these theories fully explains the suddenness and completeness of the disappearance. How does a civilization capable of producing monumental art and sophisticated bronze work seemingly dissolve, leaving only fragments for future generations to uncover? Fringe interpretations have also emerged, driven by the alien quality of the artifacts. The enormous eyes and exaggerated forms of the masks, combined with the suddenness of the civilization's disappearance, have led some to speculate on extraterrestrial influence or lost knowledge, though such claims remain outside the bounds of mainstream archaeology. Still, these interpretations underscore the profound strangeness and allure of Sing Dui, a culture that defies conventional expectations and continues to evoke wonder and speculation. The material culture itself offers tantalizing glimpses of belief and ritual. Jade axes, masks, and ceremonial bronzes suggest complex religious or ceremonial practices potentially involving ancestor worship, spiritual mediation, or contact with otherworldly forces. The abstract and surreal designs may reflect cosmological ideas, mythic narratives, or symbolic systems entirely unfamiliar to modern scholars. Yet without written records, the meaning of these objects is left largely to interpretation. What stories, rituals, and worldviews were encoded in bronze, gold, and jade? And how did the people of Sing Dui experience their own civilization? Walking through the excavated pits today, one can almost sense the presence of the past. The colossal masks seem to stare across millennia, their eyes wide as if aware of our curiosity. Terracotta and bronze fragments lie scattered, testimony to rituals, artistry, and human ambition long vanished. There is a tension between familiarity and strangeness. We recognize the human hands that shape these objects, yet the forms, scale, and abstraction make them feel extraordinary, almost otherworldly. What drove the artisans of Sing Dui to create such monumental abstract forms? What belief system, social order, or cosmology allowed such artistry to flourish? And most perplexingly, how did this civilization vanish, leaving a legacy of artistry and mystery that continues to challenge our understanding of early human societies? Could future excavations, advanced technologies, or new interpretive frameworks unlock these answers? Or will Sing Dui remain one of the most enigmatic civilizations ever discovered? A ghostly echo of a world lost to time. For now, Sing Dui endures in bronze and jade, monumental masks and ritual vessels, silently narrating a story we can only glimpse. Its mysteries compel us to reconsider assumptions about early human societies, technological sophistication, and the impermanence of civilization itself. And as we trace the lines of eyes, the curves of faces, and the shapes of ceremonial objects, we're reminded that history often hides its most extraordinary chapters beneath layers of earth, waiting for the patient and the curious to uncover them, one artifact at a time. From the enigmatic bronzes and masks of Sing Dui, which evoke visions of a lost civilization in China's Sichuan plains, our journey now carries us southward across the Asian continent to the rugged cliffs and river valleys of western India. Here in the dense forests overlooking the Wagyur River in Maharashtra lie the Ajanta Caves, a series of rock-cut sanctuaries carved into sheer basalt cliffs whose artistry, engineering and mysterious origins continue to captivate historians, archaeologists and travellers alike. Approaching Ajanta, one is immediately struck by the dramatic landscape. The river winds gently below towering cliffs while dense vegetation clings to the rugged terrain framing caves whose facades seem to emerge organically from the rock. Carved over centuries, the caves are a series of chas, prayer halls and viharas, monastic residences, each sculpted with meticulous precision. Steps and pathways wind upward, revealing interiors adorned with intricate sculptures, pillars, and fresco whose vibrancy has survived the passage of nearly 2 millennia. There is a sense of entering a space both sacred and secret, where stone and light intertwine to create an atmosphere of awe and contemplation, dating primarily between the 2nd century BCE, CE, and 480 CE. The Ajanta caves reflect an extraordinary mastery of rock-cut architecture. The precision with which artisans carved entire halls from living rock is remarkable, and the fresco that decorate their walls, ceilings and arches showcase unparalleled skill in colour, composition and narrative storytelling. Scenes depict the lives of the Buddha, Jataka tales, and intricate depictions of courtly life, each rendered with remarkable attention to detail and emotion. Yet, despite centuries of study, many aspects of Ajanta remain mysterious. The exact methods of construction, the choice of locations, and the means by which artists achieved such luminous fresco within the dark interiors of basalt rock. The engineering of Ajanta is itself a marvel. Carving extensive halls and corridors directly into the cliff face required precise knowledge of structural integrity, drainage, and spatial planning. How did artisans of the 2nd century BCE with limited tools manage to create vaulted ceilings, intricately fluted pillars, and rock surfaces smooth enough for painting? The scale of labour, coordination, and technical skill suggests a highly organised community, yet little is definitively known about the lives of those who built and adorned the caves. Were the artisans monks, commissioned specialists, or members of a forgotten guild whose methods were deliberately preserved in secrecy? Perhaps the most mysterious aspect of Ajanta is the frescoes themselves. Unlike many ancient murals, these paintings retain an intensity of colour and narrative sophistication that seems almost impossibly preserved. The use of mineral-based pigments, the layering techniques, and the incorporation of shadows and perspective create scenes that feel alive. Some scholars debate the exact techniques and materials used, questioning how such works could endure centuries of humidity, monsoon rains, and the natural decay of rock. Were these methods learned through trial and error, or did they represent a body of knowledge, now partially lost, passed through generations of artisans? The caves also raise questions about the social and spiritual world of their creators. Many murals depict figures in courtly attire, musicians, dancers, and elaborate rituals, suggesting that Ajanta was not solely a religious site, but also a reflection of cultural exchange, patronage, and the interplay between spiritual devotion and worldly life. How did these communities perceive the intersection of devotion, art, and society? Were the caves designed as immersive spaces for meditation, teaching, or both? And how did the physical environment, the cliffs, the river, the sunlight, enhance their intended effect? Fringe theories, though largely speculative, add another layer of intrigue. Some suggest that the precision of construction, the preservation of pigments, or the symbolic complexity of the fresco implies knowledge or methods not fully understood by modern scholars. Others propose that the caves may contain hidden cosmological or spiritual codes embedded in the alignment of chambers, the sequence of paintings, or the iconography of the sculptures. While such claims remain unproven, they reflect the persistent sense of wonder and curiosity that Ajanta evokes, a feeling that there is more to understand than the eye or historical record can immediately reveal. Walking through the Ajanta caves today, one experiences both intimacy and grandeur. The sound of footsteps echoes along stone corridors, Shafts of light illuminate carved reliefs and painted murals. The air carries a subtle scent of stone and age. In this interplay of rock, art, and silence, the caves communicate across centuries. They invite reflection not only on the skill of their creators, but on the human desire to shape space, tell stories, and seek connection with the divine. Every curve of a pillar, every brushstroke of colour seems to ask questions as much as it provides answers. What drove the builders and painters of Ajanta to create such enduring luminous art within the unforgiving stone? How did they achieve technical mastery with limited tools and resources? And what cultural or spiritual imperatives motivated such extraordinary dedication? Could the caves contain symbolic knowledge, patterns, or teachings that remain hidden, waiting to be interpreted by those willing to look beyond the surface? And as centuries of silence and natural forces have folded around these structures, what secrets of daily life, devotion, and craftsmanship have been lost to time? For now, the Ajanta caves endure as both masterpieces and enigmas. They offer a window into human creativity, spiritual pursuit, and technical brilliance, yet they retain a quiet, persistent mystery. As visitors wander their halls, tracing the contours of sculpture and fresco, they are invited to contemplate the unbroken line of human ingenuity and the enduring questions that remain. Questions that remind us that even in places illuminated by light and scholarship, history can still hold shadows that defy full understanding. From the cliffs and painted sanctuaries of Ajanta, where human devotion and artistic mastery coalesce in stone and pigment, our journey now carries us southeast to the misty landscapes of Laos, where the rolling hills and plateaus of the Shangquang Plateau conceal one of Southeast Asia's most enigmatic archaeological sites, the Plain of Jars. Here, scattered across a vast windswept terrain, lie thousands of colossal stone jars, their origin, purpose, and construction shrouded in mystery for centuries. The first encounter with the Plain of Jars is simultaneously striking and surreal. Massive jars, some standing over 3 meters tall, dot the grassy plateaus like guardians frozen in time. Carved from sandstone, granite, or conglomerate, the jars vary in size and shape, from squat, wide-mouthed vessels to towering cylindrical monoliths. Many remain intact, while others have been toppled or broken, revealing hollows that invite speculation about what they may have once contained. The arrangement of these jars is equally perplexing. Some cluster in circles, others align along ridge lines or occupy isolated positions, forming a landscape that is at once orderly and enigmatic. Archaeologists date the jars primarily to the Iron Age between 500 BCE and 500 CE, yet much about their creators remains unknown. Unlike other monumental constructions, the Plain of Jars lacks clear evidence of permanent settlement nearby, leaving open questions about the society responsible for their creation. How were these massive stones quarried, transported and erected across uneven terrain without the use of modern tools or machinery? What logistical ingenuity enabled communities of the Iron Age to manipulate stones weighing several tons with apparent precision and purpose? Mainstream explanations suggest that the jars functioned in tertiary practices serving as mortuary urns, or as components of elaborate burial rituals. Excavations have uncovered human remains, charcoal, and fragments of pottery within or around some jars, supporting the theory that they were used for cremation or secondary burial. Yet, the exact nature of these rituals remains elusive, as does the reasoning behind the diversity of jar shapes and sizes, and the vast distances between jar sites. Were these jars purely functional, symbolic, or a combination of both? And why did this practice flourish in a region that in many respects remains geographically isolated? The mysteries deepen when one considers the scale and distribution of the jars. Estimates suggest over 90 sites and thousands of jars scattered across hundreds of square kilns. Why so many? And why was such labour invested in carving, transporting, and arranging these vessels with apparent care in a landscape otherwise sparse of human habitation? Some scholars speculate that the jars marked territory, commemorated clan leaders, or signified sacred spaces, yet definitive evidence remains scarce. Fringe theories have further fueled intrigue. The colossal scale and enigmatic purpose of the jars have inspired speculation about lost civilizations, ancient rituals of unknown spiritual significance, or even connections to myths of giants or supernatural beings. While these ideas are largely speculative, They underscore the sense of mystery that has surrounded the plain of jars for centuries. Could the arrangement of jars encode symbolic or cosmological knowledge, aligning with celestial events, topography, or the cycles of life and death? Or do we see patterns where there are none, imposed by our desire to understand the inexplicable? The jars themselves hold clues yet resist full comprehension. Carved directly from bedrock or quarried from nearby boulders, many display subtle features, flat rims, hollowed interiors, and occasionally incised markings whose significance remains uncertain. Some jars are placed at top elevated ridges, while others occupy depressions suggesting possible alignment with water sources, natural landmarks, or ceremonial pathways. Were these choices purely practical, or did they reflect a deeper spiritual or symbolic logic? And if the jars were part of literary practices, what do their positions and arrangements tell us about the beliefs of the people who constructed them? Visiting the plain of jars today, one senses both the grandeur and the enigma of the site. Mist drifts across the plateau in the early morning, softening the outlines of jars and casting elongated shadows. The wind hums through hollows, creating a subtle resonance that enhances the impression of a landscape imbued with memory and ritual. It is a place where human effort, natural terrain, and centuries of weathering converge, leaving traces of ingenuity and belief that are at once tangible and mysterious. What drove the communities of Iron Age Laos to create such vast monuments in an otherwise austere landscape? Were these jars primarily functional, holding the remains of the dead, or were they symbolic expressions of cosmology, power, or spiritual connection? How were the massive stones quarried, shaped, and transported? And what knowledge of engineering or organization did their builders possess? And most intriguingly, why did this tradition fade, leaving behind only the silent jars to whisper hints of a vanished culture? For now, the plain of jars endures as a monumental puzzle, a landscape where stone and earth converge in patterns that continues to challenge our understanding. The jars invite contemplation, reflection, and wonder, reminding us that even in remote corners of the world, human societies have expressed creativity, devotion, and ingenuity in ways that transcend time. As we trace the contours of these colossal vessels, walk among their shadows, and imagine the rituals once performed here, we are left with the persistent question: what secrets remain hidden beneath the plateau's grass, waiting to reveal themselves to those from the mist-laden plateaus of Laos, where the plain of jars rises like an ancient enigmatic monument across the Xiangquang Plateau? Our journey now ascends thousands of meters to the Andean highlands of Peru, to the city of Cusco, the historic capital of the Inca Empire. Above the city, perched on a steep hill, stretches the colossal fortress of Sacsayhuaman, renowned not only for its scale and strategic placement, but for the extraordinary precision with which its stones were cut, fitted, and aligned. A craftsmanship that continues to challenge engineers, archaeologists, and historians alike. Approaching Sacsayhuaman, one is immediately struck by the sheer magnitude of its walls. Enormous stones, some weighing over 100 tons, are joined together without mortar. Each block is carefully shaped to interlock with its neighbours. The walls curve and zigzag along the hillside, forming a formidable defensive structure. Yet there is a rhythm, almost a fluidity to the placement of the stones, as if they were sculpted to accommodate both strength and aesthetic harmony. The joints are so precise that even a knife blade cannot fit between many of the blocks, a feat that seems almost impossible given the technology available at the time. Dating from the 15th century, Sacsayhuaman is attributed to the Inca Emperor Pachacuti and his successors. Yet much about the construction methods remains uncertain. The Incas did not have iron tools, pulleys, or wheeled vehicles. Yet they managed to quarry, transport, and fit these enormous stones with astonishing precision on steep, uneven terrain. How did they move such massive blocks from quarries miles away, lift them into place, and shape them with such exactitude? What techniques allowed them to achieve seamless joints, some with stones of irregular shapes, forming walls that have withstood centuries of earthquakes that regularly shake the region? The precision of Sacsayhuaman is not only functional, but seemingly deliberate in its geometry. Many stones display polygonal shapes fitting together like pieces of a complex puzzle. Their contours interlock in a manner that maximizes stability and distributes weight evenly. Some researchers suggest that this technique reflects advanced understanding of structural mechanics, while others propose that the precise fitting had symbolic or spiritual significance, perhaps reflecting the Inca worldview, cosmology, or reverence for harmony with the surrounding mountains. Was the exactitude a practical solution, an artistic statement, or both? Mainstream archaeology suggests that the Incas employed a combination of trial and error shaping, simple tools, and immense human labour to achieve these results. Stones were likely hammered and pecked into place, with teams guiding each block into position using ropes, levers, and ramps. Yet, even accepting these explanations, the sheer scale and accuracy of the work remain awe-inspiring. Were the methods entirely empirical, learned through centuries of craftsmanship, or did they incorporate lost techniques or knowledge that we no longer understand? Sacsayhuaman also raises questions about purpose. The fortress itself was strategic, guarding the northern approach to Cusco, but the monumental walls suggest more than mere military function. Their grandeur, scale, and precise construction convey power and authority, serving as a tangible expression of Inca engineering mastery and political dominance. Could these walls also have had ceremonial or symbolic dimensions aligning with sacred geography, solar patterns, or the spiritual landscape of the Andes? And what might the interplay of stone and mountain tell us about the Inca conception of humanity's relationship with nature and the divine? Fringe theories and speculation have long surrounded Sacsayhuaman. Some observers marvel that the precision of the stone fitting could not have been achieved without advanced tools, or even knowledge lost to history. Others suggest influences from unknown ancient civilizations, or even propose extraterrestrial guidance, citing the impossibility of moving and shaping stones of such size with simple hand tools. While mainstream scholarship rejects such claims, they reflect the enduring mystery that Sacsayhuaman inspires, a sense that human ingenuity, even in the 15th century, could reach heights that challenge modern expectations. The walls themselves tell a story that transcends time. Each stone bears the marks of human labour, shaped by hands and eyes, honed through generations of experience. Their interlocking geometry has allowed the walls to withstand centuries of seismic activity, the high-altitude sun, and the erosive winds of the Andes. Walking among these monumental stones, one senses both human ambition and humility, the dialogue between natural landscape and deliberate construction, as if the fortress itself embodies the Inca understanding of resilience, harmony, and permanence. Yet many questions remain. How exactly were the massive stones transported across such rugged terrain? Were there specific rituals or communal practices tied to their placement? And why does Sacsayhuaman, with its extraordinary craftsmanship, stand as a singular achievement unmatched in precision and scale in the Andean world? Could there be techniques, knowledge, or cultural practices associated with its construction that have been lost to history, leaving us to marvel without ever fully understanding? For now, Sacsayhuaman endures as both fortress and enigma. Its walls speak of human ingenuity, endurance, and vision, silently challenging us to reconcile what we see with what we believe was possible in the 15th century. They invite reflection on the capacity of ancient civilizations to shape their environment with skill, purpose, and artistry that transcends time. And as we trace the contours of interlocking stones, feel their immense weight, and imagine the hands that placed them, we are reminded that history, even when carved in rock, often preserves as many questions as it answers, waiting for those willing to ponder the mysteries of human achievement. From the soaring heights of the Andes, where Sacsayhuaman's interlocking stones defy modern comprehension, our journey now sweeps across continents to the rugged valleys of Afghanistan, to the remote cliffs of the Bamayan Valley. Here, for over 15 centuries, colossal figures once stood carved directly into the sandstone, silent witnesses to the intersection of faith, artistry, and history. The giant Buddhas of Bamayan. Though tragically destroyed in 2001, their presence and legacy continue to evoke awe, mystery, and questions that endure. The first sight of the Bamayan cliffs is striking. Rising steeply above the valley floor, the ochre-coloured rock faces capture sunlight in shifting hues of amber and gold. Within these cliffs, two monumental niches once housed the giant Buddhas, the larger seated Buddha standing approximately 55 ms tall, and its smaller counterpart nearly 38 mm in height. The scale is staggering, dwarfing human figures and dominating the valley, while intricate details of robes, hands, and serene expressions convey both spiritual authority and artistic mastery. Though destroyed, modern photographs, early surveys, and digital reconstructions preserve a sense of their monumental impact. The Buddhas date to approximately the 6th century CE, a period when Burmese served as a cultural crossroads along the Silk Road, linking Central Asia, India, and China. The valley was a thriving hub of trade, pilgrimage, and cultural exchange. Yet the creation of figures of this scale and precision, carved directly from the cliff face, raises enduring questions about technique and intention. How did artisans of the time manage to scale these sheer cliffs, carve delicate features into sandstone, and finish details with such precision without scaffolding or advanced machinery? What methods allowed for both structural stability and artistic refinement in stone of varying quality? Beyond the technical feats, the Buddhas themselves evoke profound questions about purpose and meaning. They were not merely monumental statues, they were objects of devotion, pilgrimage, and identity for the communities of Burmayan and the wider Buddhist world. Fresco, stucco decorations, and remnants of ancillary cave shrines suggest elaborate ritual practices blending art, meditation, and religious instruction. What cosmological or symbolic principles guided the proportions, postures, and placement of these figures? Were the niches themselves selected for visual prominence, spiritual resonance, or astronomical alignment? The destruction of the Buddhas adds a further layer of intrigue and poignancy. Though their physical forms were obliterated, the niches, tunnels, and remnants of surrounding monasteries continue to speak of human aspiration, devotion, and artistry. Archaeological surveys reveal plaster moulds, pigment traces, and scaffolding impressions that hint at methods of construction and finishing. Yet the precise processes remain elusive. How were these monumental statues planned, coordinated, and executed within a society that by our standards had limited technological resources? Could there have been specialized knowledge or techniques now lost that enabled such achievements? Fringe theories and speculation have naturally arisen around Bamyan. The colossal scale of the Buddhas combined with the scarcity of contemporaneous comparable works has led some to wonder if external influences, forgotten technologies, or knowledge lost to history played a role. Others speculate about hidden chambers, ritual relics, or inscriptions yet to be uncovered within the cliffs. While many of these ideas remain unproven, they underscore the profound mystery that surrounds the site, a place where art, faith, and engineering converge in ways that challenge contemporary understanding. The valley itself, however, offers clues beyond the statues. Thousands of caves carved into cliffs, some containing frescoes, reliquaries, and monk cells, suggest an extensive monastic complex. The interaction of natural rock formations, human carving, and artistic embellishment demonstrates an advanced understanding of both environment and material. How did the builders harmonize natural topography with religious vision? What spiritual, political, or social imperatives motivated the creation of such monumental works in a remote and often harsh landscape? Visiting Bamyan today, even in the absence of the Buddhas themselves, one is struck by the scale of ambition and devotion, the sheer verticality of the cliffs, the echoes of vanished footsteps along terraces and caves, and the sunlight filtering into niches once occupied by serene figures, all convey a sense of human aspiration reaching toward the sublime. There is a tension between presence and absence, between what was and what is remembered that intensifies the aura of mystery.